Chapter 4909. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. At the same time, they also understood why Lin Xian wanted the token. The South Heaven Gate and the South Heaven token. There must be a connection between the two. They decided to bid for the South Heaven token with all their might. Divine General Haiyuan and the others made their decision. Next, they waited patiently. One treasure after another appeared in front of them. The eyes of the great sects and families of the ancients were red. However, they did not make a move. Finally, when the South Heaven token appeared, Divine General Haiyuan made a move. After an intense bidding war, in the end, they obtained the South Heaven token. Damn it. On the other side, the people from the Thousand Dragon Court looked gloomy. They also felt that the token was extraordinary. There were 2 words on it. Perhaps it was related to the legendary South Heaven Gate. However, they had not seen the South Heaven Gate with their own eyes, so they were not too determined. In addition to the previous treasures, they did not have enough wealth to compete for the South Heaven token. In the end, they missed the opportunity. Great, they got it. Divine General Haiyuan immediately exchanged for the South Heaven token. When they got it, they heaved a sigh of relief. After studying it carefully, Divine General Haiyuan placed the South Heaven token in the void. Everyone looked over to see if there were any changes. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He realized that there were extremely complicated runes in the South Heaven token. It was impossible to completely understand it. However, with the South Heaven token, they might be able to enter the Heavenly Court. Next, they waited patiently for the auction to end. The next few items were eye-opening. There were a total of 13 items. In the end, they were all auctioned off. Of course, not every family or sect could obtain them. Only the top 12 could. The last item was kept by the Z Mansion sect. It was a scroll. The people of the Z Mansion sect did not open it, so no one knew what was inside. Some people guessed that it might contain the secrets of the Heavenly Court, or it might be a magical cultivation technique of the Heavenly Court. However, the Z Mansion sect would not give it away. In addition, the other sects and families also obtained corresponding treasures, so no one guessed that it was the Z Mansion sect. After the auction ended, everyone dispersed. They were prepared to go to the Heavenly Court ruins to search for opportunities. As Lin Xian and the others were leaving, they were stopped by more than one person. It was the House of Myriad Transformations, the Gold Crow tribe and Lord Blood River. "Where's Mad God? Tell him to come here and die." A cold voice rang out, causing one scalp to go numb. The people who hadn't left yet all stopped. His face was filled with surprise. Sure enough, they came looking for him. The news of Mad God killing 5 experts in a row had already spread far and wide. Naturally, they also knew about it. However, while everyone was looking for Mad God, he seemed to have disappeared. This time, the 5 big shots finally blocked the door. It seemed like they were going to suppress the other party. The faces of Divine General Haiyuan and the others sank. What was the meaning of this? The master of all transformations harumphed coldly. "The Mad God killed my grandson. I will definitely avenge him. My disciple will not die in vain." Lord Blood River snorted coldly. The Golden Crow clan, the Heaven Battling clan, and even the All-Beginning clan coldly snorted and handed over that brat. "I did it because they deserve to die." A cold voice rang out from behind. Everyone turned their heads to look. When they saw the demonic figure, they were all stunned. Heavens, he actually dared to come. Was he Mad God? He was too arrogant. Those were the 5 great leaders. He dared to appear at this time. Did he really think that he could withstand them? "Brat, it's you." When the master of all transformations and the others saw Lin Xian, extremely cold killing intent erupted from their eyes. The surrounding void collapsed, and the earth cracked. Divine General Haiyuan snorted coldly and stepped forward. However, they were still on guard. The Divine General of the Sea Abyss had to take out a shield to block the power. It couldn't be helped. The Lord of all transformations and Patriarch Blood River were both pinnacle great sages. They were one realm higher than them. Lin Xian was naturally on high alert as well. However, he didn't retreat. A dragon's roar came from his body. There was even a black vortex around him that swallowed this terrifying power. The master of all transformations walked out and stared at Lin Xian. He said coldly, "Mad God, are you obedient? Come here and accept your death. Or do you want me to suppress and torture you to death?" The others also walked out. Patriarch Blood River sneered, "You divine generals, hurry up and leave. I can spare you. If we really fight, the 5 of you won't be enough. I can beat you with one hand." Damn it! Divine General Yin and the others gritted their teeth. Do you think there are no peak great saints in our sacred abyss tower? So what if there are? Are they here? The all-beginning patriarch snorted coldly. Since they aren't here, there's no difference. Now that there are 2 peak great saints here, do you think you can still escape? With that, Patriarch Blood River stepped forward. The blood on his body surrounded the 9 heavens, causing the divine generals to stiffen. They couldn't resist at all. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura erupted from the divine general's body. Divine General Hai Yuan's shield blocked Blood River. Divine General Feng Shui and the others also had magic treasures in their bodies. They broke through the void and roared at the sky. Are you going to be our enemy? On the other hand, Divine General Qian Qin snorted coldly. I won't interfere in this matter. He stood at the side. He had promised Lin Xian that he wouldn't attack Lin Xian, but it didn't mean that he would help him. It's over. This kid is really dead. Even Crane Jiuxiao, Yanling, and the others frowned. If this matter wasn't handled well, a war would break out in advance. They might not even be able to enter the heavenly court. Lin Xian sneered coldly. I killed the 5 of them because they deserved to die. Even if I had another chance and met them again, I would still kill them without hesitation. Lin Xian's voice caused the scalps of the surrounding people to go numb. This kid didn't kowtow in front of such a situation. Instead, he continued to be arrogant. Was he not afraid of death? Kid, what did you say? The Lord of all transformations was enraged. A huge hand swept across the sky. Lin Xian quickly retreated. At the same time, he shouted coldly, "If you kill me, you can forget about entering the heavenly court." Boom, boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out. A large spatial crack appeared and swallowed the Lord of all transformations' attack. You dare to stop me? The Lord of all transformations roared. An elder of the Gu family walked out with his hands behind his back. What do you mean by that? He asked while staring at Lin Xian. The others also did the same. Could it be that this kid knew how to enter the heavenly court? What a load of nonsense. Even the Lord of the Great Wilderness didn't know, so how could he? Lord Blood River snorted coldly. Stop pretending. You can't fool us. That's right. This little trick was laughable. The people of the Myriad Beginning Clan and the Sky Battling Clan also walked out. They didn't believe it. Chapter 49:10. The Lord of all transformations and the others didn't believe Lin Xian's words at all. They walked up again. Lin Xian snorted and stood with his hands behind his back. Where's the Lord of the Great Wilderness? What do you want? Someone from the Purple Mansion asked coldly. The Lord of the Great Wilderness also walked out and stared coldly at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, When you escaped from the ruins of the heavenly court, did you see a heavenly gate standing in the 9 heavens? Did you see 33 heavens in the distance? One of the 3rd heavens was broken. How did you know? The Lord of the Great Wilderness was shocked, although he only saw it from afar, but it was exactly as Lin Xian said. The surrounding people were stunned. What did that mean? The Lord of the Great Wilderness actually agreed with what Lin Xian said. Could it be that he really knew the secret of the heavenly court? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. The eyes of the Purple Mansion, Thousand Dragon Court, and the others lit up. The Lord of all Flowers' pupils also shrank. Attack! These people attacked crazily, but the experts of the Goo family, Thousand Dragon Court, and Purple Mansion all stopped them. What was the meaning of this? Were you trying to stop them from taking revenge? The Lord of all Transformations snorted. The Lord of Blood River and the others also frowned. The Lord of the Great Wilderness snorted. Those 5 people were attacking this kid because they wanted the secret of the Heavenly Court. Since they attacked, they had to be prepared to die. The Lord of the Great Wilderness had been attacked before, so he naturally knew this kind of anger. The Thousand Dragon Court also snorted. Since they were weaker, they had to accept their fate. The Goo family and the Yi family also nodded. Damn it. The Thousand Transformations sect, Battle Sky clan, and Golden Crow clan all gritted their teeth. Damn it, they didn't expect this kid's words to change the situation so drastically. Even Divine General Haiyuan and the others were stunned. The Mad God had such ability. Divine General Qiancheng was even more stunned. He originally wanted to use the Lord of all Transformations to kill Lin Xian and watch the show from the side. But he didn't expect Lin Xian to survive. And the shocking thing was beyond his expectations. People from the Z government walked out. The master of the Great Desolation said, "Mad God, I sincerely invite you to come to the Z government. We will provide you with great resources. The Violet Palace Hall can be given to him. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty can give it to him as long as he brings us into the Heavenly Court." The people from the 10,000 Dragons Dynasty also laughed. The Yi clan and the Goo clan both stepped forward to extend their invitations. For a moment, everyone was in an uproar. They did not expect Mad God to be favored by so many people. Lin Xian laughed heartily. "Thank you for thinking so highly of me, but I'm very angry today. I want these people to disappear in front of me." After saying that, he looked at the Myriad Transformations ancestor and the others and coldly shouted, "Scram!" These people relied on the fact that they were Great Sage Late Stage or even Great Sage Peak Stage existences. They were so strong that they wanted to suppress him. How could he give face to these people now? "You!" The faces of the master of all transformations and the others instantly darkened. Who were they? When had he ever been scolded by a Saint King? The master of the Great Desolation walked out and said coldly, "Please leave. The Z Mansion does not welcome you." The people from the 10,000 Dragons Dynasty, the Goo clan, and the Yi clan also walked out. "Everyone, it's better for you to disappear today. Otherwise, don't blame us for asking you to leave." Damn it. The 5 snobbish people gritted their teeth. Although they were powerful, the people in front of them were all from the Emperor clan except for the Z Mansion. Even if the Z Mansion was not from the Emperor clan, it was still a supreme existence that existed 70,000 years ago. It was said that it had a close relationship with immortals. If the 4 major powers joined forces, they would not be able to resist at all. Moreover, they came alone. If they really fought, their souls would be destroyed. The 5 experts could only grit their teeth. They stared at Lin Xian. "Brat, just you wait." After saying that, the 5 of them left hatefully. He actually left? The 5 giants came with great force, but they could not do anything to a Saint King. This Mad God was really too heaven-defying. In an instant, all kinds of deeds and reputation about him spread even more widely. The people from the Z Mansion rushed over and invited Lin Xian to be a guest. Obviously, they wanted to know more secrets about the Heavenly Court. Divine General Haiyuan and the others were nervous. Was Mad God going to leave them? Lin Xian smiled. "Don't worry, I know what you all want. How about this? 5 days later, we will go to the Heavenly Court together. At that time, I will need everyone to work together." "Okay, then we will meet again in 5 days." The people from the Z Mansion left, and the people from the other sects and families also left. They began to prepare and set off for the Heavenly Court in 5 days. Everyone left. Divine General Haiyuan brought Lin Xian and the others back to the villa. After returning, he asked, "Do you really know the secrets of the heavenly court?" Divine General Wind Snow also asked, "Why didn't you say so before?" Lin Xian smiled. "What can I know?" I told them, "It is actually no different from what you see. Back then, when I took a look, I saw the southern heavenly gate. I also saw the 33 heavens. That is what I am talking about now. Other than that, I don't know anything else." What? The divine generals were stunned. The geniuses on the Saint Origin ranking were also dumbfounded. Even Xiao Zhuang was stunned. He asked, "Are you trying to trick him?" Lin Xian said, "You can't call it lying. We have the southern heavenly token, right? Maybe we can go in. Even if I don't say anything, when we take out the southern heavenly token, those people will definitely fight for it. Maybe a war will break out. We only have so few people. We can't fight against so many forces. Why don't we take the initiative to take it out and join forces with them?" Divine General Chen's face turned black. "Damn kid, if you have this idea, why didn't you say so earlier? This way, we won't have to spend a lot of money to buy the southern heavenly token." Lin Xian glanced at him and shook his head. "Are you stupid? Without the southern heavenly token, what bargaining chips do you have to negotiate with them? This is not your territory. You." Divine General Chin was so angry that he vomited blood. How dare he call him stupid? Divine General Wind Snow and the others nodded. Yes, the southern heavenly token was in their hands. That was why they had enough trump cards to negotiate with the other party. They were shocked. Did this mad god plan this beforehand? Divine General Hai Yuan said, "Aren't you afraid that the Lord of all transformations will suddenly attack and kill you?" Lin Xian smiled. "No, I'm not." His body gradually faded into the laws. "This is just a clone. If he dares to attack, I will let Zifu and the others kill them." Divine General Haiyuan and the others gasped. He even prepared a clone. That means that even if the 5 giants attacked, they wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Xian's real body. "Where is your real body?" Divine General Wind Snow asked. Lin Xian smiled. "He will appear in 5 days." Divine General Haiyuan looked around. "All right, we know." Divine General Haiyuan looked around. "Let's start cultivating. 5 days later, we will enter the heavenly court." Chapter 49:11. 5 days passed by in the blink of an eye. On this day, the entire Taiqing ancient city set off for the heavenly court. Lin Xian also soared into the sky. Finally, they arrived. There were already countless people waiting ahead. The most dazzling ones were the Z Mansion, the 1,000-dragon court, the Gu family, and the Yi family. Other than them, the other ancient families and peerless sects were also there. The 5 giants who had caused trouble for Lin Xian previously did not appear. It was unknown if they had hidden themselves. Lin Xian could not be bothered. The Desolation Lord and the Draconic Lord walked over and asked, "Mad God, what method do you have? You can tell us now, right?" Lin Xian nodded. Then he called a few divine generals over and discussed with them. The divine general of the ocean abyss said, "The token in our hands is called the Southern Sky Token. It can be used to contact the Southern Sky Gate. This is the chance to enter the heavenly court." What the Southern Sky Token? Countless people were in an uproar. They recalled that there was indeed a token among the 13 treasures that were auctioned. Was that the legendary Southern Sky Token? The 1,000 dragon courts, dragon reflection, Lord's pupils constricted. He had felt that the token was extraordinary and wanted to bid for it. However, he did not have enough wealth. He did not expect it to be so important. Since that was the case, there was no time to lose. The Yi family's expert said. The divine general of the ocean abyss and the others nodded. They held the Southern Sky Token and stood at the front. Then they said that they needed everyone's power. No problem. The Gu family's expert walked out. Then the other experts walked out and formed a formation to provide them with power. The Divine General of the Ocean Abyss held the Southern Sky token and activated it. The great Tao on it rushed out and flew forward. The void split open and the aura rushed out. Everyone felt a primordial power rush out as if it had crossed through time and space. It was really effective. The surrounding people were excited when they saw this. It was not enough. They needed more power. Everyone, stop hiding. Otherwise, no one would be able to enter. The Divine General of the Wind Snow Sect shouted. The others used their power again. At the same time, more people took action. They knew that without the Southern Sky token, they would not be able to enter. The entire world was shaking violently, and the abandoned illusion of the heavenly court was becoming clearer and clearer. Everyone saw that the clouds seemed to have dispersed, revealing a heavenly gate standing before them. The heavenly gate was magnificent. One pillar after another stood tall, with dragons and phoenixes painted on them. Suddenly, their pupils shrank because they found that there seemed to be a figure standing at the gate of heaven. Someone was inside the southern heavenly gate. There was actually someone here. Who the hell is it? He attacked with all his might. The overlord of the grand desolation roared in rage. The others moved out in a frenzy. At this moment, the illusory figure became clearer and clearer. Suddenly, Lin Xian was also shocked. Damn it, why did that guy look so much like Heishan? The eyes of the great Desolation Master, Lord of the Dragon Creation Master, and the others burst out with extremely fierce radiance as they looked ahead. But in an instant, the shadow in front of him disappeared, and the southern heavenly gate stood there, emitting a desolate aura. The figure was nowhere to be seen. What happened? Did he disappear? Several top-notch experts frowned. The others were also in an uproar. Someone said that it might be an illusion. Perhaps. Everyone nodded. After all, that thing did not appear again. Lin Xian squinted his eyes. He should be sure that it was Heishan now. After all, the other party looked very similar to Heishan. Furthermore, Heishan had the Sky Lantern and was the successor of the Heavenly Court. If there was someone who could enter earlier than them, it would definitely be Heishan. This guy, I thought he wouldn't come, but he still came. Lin Xian smiled. When the time came, he could cooperate with Heishan. Finally, all the clouds disappeared, and everyone sensed that an independent space had appeared before them. They could enter. The Gu family's expert sensed for a while, then waved his hand. The void in front of them fluctuated, and a whirlpool gate appeared. Let's go. Figures walked in one after another. Not only the older generation's experts and super mighty figures, but the young geniuses also entered. This was an opportunity. The Southern Heavenly Gate was a legendary existence. Now that it appeared here, there might be a heaven-defying opportunity. Let's go. Ocean Origin, Divine General, and the rest waved their hands. Lin Xian, Peng Wanli, and the rest followed. In the next moment, they entered. They felt an even more desolate aura that made their scalps tingle. The space was vast, but no one dared to move forward after entering. Some said to go quickly. Only after crossing the southern heavenly gate could they enter the true heavenly court. In an instant, some people turned into streams of light and rushed over. But in the next moment, they were sent flying back while vomiting blood. 2 of the older generation's experts fell to the ground with pale faces. 4 of the younger generation's bodies turned into blood mist. Damn it, what's going on? Everyone was stunned. Was there a peerless killing array? They were extremely shocked. Lin Xian frowned and his eyes flickered. At this moment, the master of the great wilderness, master of the Long family, Gu family, and Yi family all turned their heads. Fellow Taoist from the sacred origin tower, please lend me the southern heavenly token. Ocean Origin, Divine General, and the rest took a deep breath and walked up with the southern heavenly token. Everyone gave them strength, but in the next moment they were sent flying back. Even the southern heavenly token dimmed. No, the southern heavenly token seemed to be able to enter, but to cross the southern heavenly gate required other methods. What's going on? They all looked at the two experts of the older generation. The two older generation experts vomited blood and recounted what they had experienced. The others were shocked. It turned out that when the two older generation experts rushed forward and crossed the southern heavenly gate, they saw an indomitable giant. He was wearing a divine armor and punched at them. The two of them could not withstand the force and were sent flying while vomiting blood. A giant wearing a divine armor punched them. The surrounding people were stunned. They did not see it at all. Even the peerless experts frowned. Was it an illusion? The master of the great wilderness and master of the Long family stared at Lin Xian. They said, "Mad God, you should know the secret of this place. Why don't you go first?" Everyone looked over. Divine General Haiyuan and the rest's expressions changed. Oh no, they had already heard from Lin Xian that Lin Xian did not know the so-called secret. They had only done so to use these people to fight against the 5 great leaders. If they let Lin Xian go up now, it would be very dangerous. Lin Xian's expression was grave, but he knew he could not back down. If he angered these peerless experts, they would probably take action immediately. Therefore he nodded and walked out. Then I'll be the first to ascend the southern heavenly gate. Since the Black Mountain appeared here, it meant that there must be a way to pass through. Although he did not cultivate the heavenly quartz techniques, he had the heaven-devouring jar. Furthermore, he had heard it from the 2 older generation experts. The southern heavenly gate seemed to have a guardian, which was why they could not pass through. Chapter 49:12. Thinking of this, Lin Xian walked forward. The moment he stepped through the southern heaven gate, he realized that the scene in front of him had changed. An indomitable giant clad in divine armor threw a punch at him. A vast and majestic power surged, terrifying everyone. No wonder those people couldn't withstand this punch. It was too terrifying. It could make one's soul tremble and make one want to kneel on the ground. It was ridiculously strong. Lin Xian was shocked, but he quickly calmed down. He had fought all the way and had seen all kinds of things. Although the fist in front of him was terrifying, he wasn't afraid. He felt that this should be an illusion, a test for him. Kill! With a roar, he punched out. The black fist transformed into 6 worlds that danced between heaven and earth. Lightning filled the sky as the 6-path fist surged. A monstrous punch. Lin Xian's fist and the fist of the armored giant collided. A vast ocean appeared around them as the power swept through the 9 heavens. Buzz! Lin Xian's body passed through the other party's fist and walked through the southern heaven gate. He suddenly turned around and realized that the illusion of the armored giant was gradually disappearing. Did he pass? He took a deep breath. The people outside were shocked when they saw this scene. He passed through. Heavens, how did he do it? Exclamations sounded one after another. The 2 experts who had failed previously were dumbfounded, facing the punch of the armored giant. This guy could actually withstand it. It was too unbelievable. Mad God, what's going on? Hurry up and say it. The dragon, sovereign, roared. The eyes of the 1,000 Dragons dynasty and the others turned red. Lin Xian turned around and said plainly, the 2 seniors were right. With the giant in the armor, this was a kind of test. Those who could withstand it passed, and those who couldn't were eliminated. After all, the Southern Heaven Gate was a legendary existence. Not everyone could ascend it. It was actually a test. Was it true? Was this kid lying to them? Did he have a special method? One after another, voices sounded. It was obvious that they didn't fully believe it. At this moment, someone stood up. I'll do it. It was also someone from the sacred Origin Tower. It was Peng Wanli. He used the great Peng spreading wings and flew over quickly. The moment he ascended the Southern Heaven Gate, he saw the same illusion as before. He subconsciously wanted to retreat, but he quickly reacted. This was a test. Fearless. Kill. He rushed over. Finally, he passed through the southern heaven gate and ascended. Great, I did it. I succeeded. Peng Wanli roared towards the sky. Lin Xian looked at the other party and nodded his head. As expected of the Heavenly Rock tribe, this fellow was indeed an expert, and his courage was commendable. Go out of the southern heaven gate. In the next moment, they saw a punch coming. This punch could surpass the gods. No, some people were frightened and flew backwards while vomiting blood. Some people were so frightened that they knelt on the ground. There were also people who responded forcefully. Lin Xian was right. Not everyone could ascend to the legendary place. 90% of the people who came were beaten out, and only 10% could successfully pass. However, there were truly too many people. Even though it was only 10%, it was still enough to make one's scalp go numb with a single glance. Lin Xian's people passed. On the other side, the people from the Thousand Dragons Imperial Court and the Purple Mansion also passed. There were people from the Great Sects and sects who passed. Of course, more people were eliminated. They could only stand outside the Southern Heaven Gate and watch this scene with despair. They probably had no chance in this lifetime. Let's go. Lin Xian and the others didn't pay attention to those who failed. They turned around and walked inside. Even the Southern Heaven Gate had appeared. Would the Lingxiao Hall appear? And that 33-story building? Was it the legendary 33 levels of heaven? The deeper they went, the more desolate it became. There were clouds under their feet, as if they had really arrived at the mythological era. That aura terrified them. Gradually, some people couldn't take it anymore. Cracks appeared on some people's bodies, and some people vomited blood. No, I can't walk anymore. Grandpa, save me. They were terrified. Those experts used their saint domains to envelop these people. Only then could these people continue to move forward. Lin Xian also felt a chill down his spine. Fortunately, the 4 divine generals beside him worked together to use their saint domains to protect them. After walking for a long time, they frowned. What was going on? Why couldn't they reach the 33 levels of heaven? Where was the Lingxiao Hall? Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light as he looked through the sky. The others were also using their saint domains. Some people had strange laws in their eyes, while others took out formations. Everyone was probing. At this moment, the Gu family's super mighty figure sighed. The 33 levels of heaven seemed to be just an illusion and didn't really exist. What illusion? It was impossible. Even the Southern Heaven Gate had it. How could the 33 levels of heaven not have it? The Yi family's unparalleled expert side. It wasn't that they didn't exist, but that they weren't here. Now, it seemed that the Heavenly Court back then had been separated. There had been Heavenly Court ruins before, and now another one had appeared. Who knew if it would appear again in the future? Perhaps the 33 levels of heaven were in other ruins, but there didn't seem to be any here. Could it be that this was all an illusion? The people from the Purple Mansion frowned. Apart from the Southern Heavenly Gate, what else was real? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court also frowned. The others were also in an uproar. It couldn't be, right? If there was only one Southern Heavenly Gate, then what treasures were there? Who dared to trespass into the 12 Dao Palaces? With a roar, everyone's souls trembled. 12 Dao Palaces, what were those? Some people were puzzled. The people from the Purple Mansion sucked in a breath of cold air. Old Zhang from the Purple Mansion said, "Are the legendary 12 Dao Palaces here? Great, there must be countless treasures here." Everyone guessed that it must be an incredible existence. But where were the 12 Dao Palaces? They discovered that there seemed to be a golden palace in front of them. Its aura was majestic and extraordinary. Was this the legendary 12 Dao Palaces? Let's go. The group of people went forward. Countless figures appeared in the surroundings. They wore divine armor and held swords and sabers in their hands. Their auras were piercingly cold. They stood there and roared. "If you want to pass the 12 Tao palaces, you have to ask us heavenly soldiers first." Boom! At that moment, the ground trembled again. A giant wearing divine armor walked over. He held a giant axe that could split the heavens. None of them were as big as his foot. He stood there and roared. His axe chopped down like a tsunami. Everyone realized that this time it didn't seem to be an illusion. Damn it! Who were these people? Were there still living existences in the heavenly court? Impossible! It was said that the heavenly court had existed for a very long time. It had been destroyed several times, but it had been restored each time. The most recent time was 50,000 years ago. Did these people survive 50,000 years ago? What kind of joke was this? They were all crazy. Chapter 49:13. The appearance of the Tao Palace and the celestial soldiers and celestial generals shocked them. Everyone's eyes turned red. There must be treasures ahead. In an instant, they rushed forward. However, they underestimated the power of the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. In an instant, they were all sent flying back while vomiting blood. In fact, even the great sage's body was torn apart. Damn it! How could they be so strong? The armored giant was even more terrifying. With a punch, even the super mighty figures were sent flying. Their pupils constricted. Who was this? A puppet. The Purple Mansion cultivator gritted his teeth and said, "It seems that we have to work together." Those at the peak of the great sage level rushed out and attacked the giant. The other late and mid-supreme saints attacked the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. As for the others, they couldn't help here. The cultivators in the battle ahead shouted angrily, "We'll hold back the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. You guys hurry to the Tao Palace ahead. If there are treasures inside, take them back." Hearing this, the remaining people began to move. Most of them were young geniuses. Of course, there were also some middle-aged people and even older people mixed in, but their numbers were very small. Especially when they entered the Tao Palace, the mid-supreme saints screamed and retreated. They couldn't enter at all. Seeing this, the others breathed a sigh of relief. Only early supreme saints and sacred kings could enter. It seemed that it wouldn't be too dangerous inside. The divine general of the ocean abyss and the others also sent a voice transmission to Lin Xian, telling them to be careful. Lin Xian and the others nodded. Now they finally knew why the divine generals had brought them here. It was indeed because of the limitation of cultivation. Since the divine generals couldn't enter, they could only rely on them. The group walked in. After entering, everyone was shocked. It was incomparably vast inside, as if it was a world. They looked up and saw stars twinkling in the sky. It was boundless. Was this really just a palace? The celestial court's methods were really heaven-defying. The group spread out, each on guard. At the same time, they quickly searched around. Soon, someone exclaimed that there were weapons. Someone picked up a broken sword. It was rusty, but it emitted a terrifying aura. Attack! The others saw it and immediately attacked. These weapons might contain the Great Path. If they could comprehend it, they would definitely benefit a lot. In an instant, a great battle broke out. It was not only that place. Shattered weapons could be seen all over the place. Some of those weapons radiated divine might, while others were covered in rust. However, without exception, all of them had the great Tao interwoven within them. Everyone quickly made their moves. Lin Xian ignored him. His eyes flickered as he quickly set off with a group of people from Sacred Origin Tower. "Kid, where are you taking us?" The Flying Corpse King said coldly. Zhu Lai was also dissatisfied. Lin Xian said, "I'm not leading you. If you want to leave, go ahead. I want to take a look inside." I won't be with you." The Flying Corpse King and the others snorted and left one after another. On the other side, Peng Wanli and the others also said, "Let's move out first. If there's any danger, let's call out. We will provide support." With that, he left with Xiao Zhuang and the others. Only Lin Xian, Xueqi, Qing Hong, Zihong, and Yanling were left. Lin Xian looked at them. You guys can act as well. I want to act alone. With a tap of his foot, he flew forward with Xueqi following behind him. Qing Hong snorted. How arrogant. If they fought alone, they would be at a disadvantage. In fact, they weren't the only ones. Some of the others also formed small teams and searched around. Some of them acted alone, and these were all very powerful. However, most of them were united. They were all based on their families and sections. In addition to the people from Taiqing Ancient City, there were also many people from Holy Abyss Ancient City. There were people from the Holy Abyss Tower, the 3 Great Orthodoxies, the Clan of Ancients, and the Peerless Great Sections. Many people from the Dragon Palace had come to Dao Zhong, such as Nangu. The people from the Divine Union didn't come because Lin Xian asked them to cultivate properly. There were also people from the Sky Sect and Earth Sect. Yi Wudao, Guangming, and the others came. Even Bingling, the Overlord, and the others came. These people acted aggressively and began to fight for the weapon fragments. A palm tore open the void and split the heads of a few geniuses. Then, it took the 3 weapon fragments and disappeared quickly. Damn it, it's a spatial mystique. It's the Gu family. When the others saw this, they retreated in fear. They retreated one after another. Gu Feng's figure appeared. He looked around and snorted. A bunch of trash. At this moment, he turned his head and saw a figure surrounded by light appear. The light on this person was very faint. He wore a loose robe and was very low-key. However, Gu Feng frowned. Yao Guang, you're really haunting me. Why? Do you want to attack me? Gu Feng's eyes shone with a cold light. Yao Guang smiled and put away the corpses. There's no point in attacking. I like to collect the strength of others. Let's work together. What do you want to do? Gu Feng asked. Yao Guang said, I want the corpses and you want the weapons. We won't clash. Okay. Gu Feng nodded. The 2 of them had reached a temporary agreement. On the other side, Xueqi asked, Where are we going? Lin Xian and the others left. However, they only brought Xueqi with them. He said, Let's go inside. The treasures outside aren't worth our effort. Buzz. At this moment, someone charged over from the front. More than a dozen figures surrounded him. Lad, let's see how you can escape. Do you think that you'll be safe just because you have the Purple Mansion and the 10,000 Dragons Empire protecting you? Today will be the day you die. Cold voices rang out one after another. These people were the members of the 5 Great Heads. They had been waiting for an opportunity, and now they finally got it. You're really stupid. The 10,000 transformations gates experts walked out. If you were with the people from the Sacred Abyss Tower, it wouldn't be easy for us to attack you. However, you're so arrogant. Since you're leaving with only 2 people, I'll send you on your way. The Golden Crow clan's people laughed. They stared at Xueqi and said, This beauty is pretty good. Lad, after you die, I'll take good care of her for you. Attack! They shouted angrily, and the 5 Great Heads members quickly attacked. Lin Xian sneered coldly. Do you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish. He looked at Xueqi and said, Don't hold back. Xueqi nodded, and terrifying ice-cold energy appeared on her body. At this moment, the 9 Yang Divine Body and the 9 Yin Divine Body appeared together. The people in front of them sneered coldly. 2 people wanted to fight against them? What a joke! They were all top-notch experts and geniuses. If they joined hands, killing them would be as easy as flipping their palms. Attack! In an instant, they rushed over. Xueqi and Lin Xian's power also erupted out. Their divine bodies were inextricably linked, and when they appeared together, it was terrifying. The 9 Yin Divine Body and the 9 Yang Divine Body appeared together. Chapter 49:14. The 2 divine bodies unleashed their power at the same time, and both of them were stronger than before. The dozen or so experts in front of them had cold smiles on their faces, but their expressions changed in an instant. Darn it! Why are they so strong? Awful. There is something wrong with these two people. Let's leave quickly. As soon as those people exchanged blows, they were injured and spat out blood. Lin Xian sneered coldly. Since they have come here, they shouldn't leave. He attacked them forcefully, and his body was engulfed by terrifying flames. As for Xueqi, the sky was filled with ice and frost, and the dozen or so people were killed in the end. The battle here alarmed the people in the distance, and they all came over to investigate. Then they saw such a scene. They all felt their blood run cold. These two people were a little too ridiculous. How could they be so strong? Many people wore alarmed looks, and some powerful experts' eyes shone with a cold radiance. It seemed like these two people were peerless enemies. They must be careful if they ran into them in the future. Lin Xian looked around and snorted coldly. He then turned around and continued forward. After flying for a short distance, Lin Xian stopped and furrowed his brows. Xueqi asked, "What's wrong?" Lin Xian said, "There is a formation here, and I sensed an unusual aura. Be careful." As he spoke, he walked forward. When he took his third step, a radiance flickered in front of him, and a terrifying roar reverberated throughout the land. What's that? The expressions of the people in the vicinity who were looking for treasures changed when they heard this roar. This is the roar of a demonic beast. Did a demonic beast come here? It can't be. It's normal for demonic beasts to come here, but this roar can only be emitted by some super experts. But those people should have been blocked outside. Let's go and take a look. One after another, people moved quickly. Lin Xian, who was in front of them, also felt his blood boil. He was forced back and his face became pale. Are you all right? Xueqi was worried. Lin Xian shook his head. He was all right. He had just suffered a loss because he was careless. He used the immortal art to quickly heal his injuries, and a cold radiance shone in his eyes. His golden gaze penetrated the land. What's this? Lin Xian was startled. He saw the image of a lion. The lion's entire body was golden, as if it was made of gold. It appeared in front of them and quickly walked over. Every step made no sound, but there was endless great Tao interweaving, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. Roar! The lion rushed over and roared at the sky, with a trace of fearless strength. Lin Xian frowned, then snorted coldly and waved his hand, sending out a powerful force. 6 Tao Fist. The power of reincarnation surged and sent the golden lion flying with a single punch. The golden lion turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Then it drilled into Lin Xian's arm. What's going on? Lin Xian was startled, but in the next moment he was overjoyed because he realized that it was a power that could be absorbed by her. Kid, what did you get? Someone rushed over from behind, and upon seeing this sight, he bellowed furiously. Lin Xian turned around and saw a figure standing in the air behind him, surrounded by strong winds. He recognized Feng Shaoqing. Not only was he from the Wind Clan, he was also from the Z Mansion. He sneered and refused to answer. Are you looking down on me? Feng Shaoqing hollered in rage. He was a genius from 5,000 years ago, and after he woke up, his strength increased by leaps and bounds. He had already reached the great saint realm. At this moment, he waved his hand and many cracks spread out, bringing with them the power of the wind. Lin Xian didn't even turn his head. He stomped his feet and terrifying demonic energy interweaved, turning into black lightning that blocked his attack. Feng Shaoqing was forced back, and his expression became solemn. What was going on? More people came? One of them was like lightning, and the other had the power to suppress heaven and earth. They were both geniuses who had woken up from a deep sleep thousands of years ago. Time passing water, Saint Sky Suppression. They were all from the Z Mansion. apart from them. The other experts also rushed over one after another. Feng Shaoqing pointed at Lin Xian and said, "I saw a golden light enter his body, so it must be some treasure." The others were shocked that such a thing had happened. An expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty walked out and said coldly, "Mad God, take out what you got." There was a hint of command in his words. In his opinion, the reason why Lin Xian was able to survive until now was because of the protection of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Otherwise, the 5 giants would have suppressed him long ago. Lin Xian glanced at him and sneered. "Are you ordering me? Who do you think you are?" Scram! The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was furious. He was so angry that his body trembled. "Kid, are you challenging me?" His body emitted a terrifying purple light that turned into a giant dragon and roared at the sky. "It seems that you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let me teach you a lesson." He struck out with his palm, and it was like a giant purple dragon that stretched out its dragon claws, covering the sky and earth. Lin Xian snorted coldly and shot out the light of the demon god. It turned into a huge net that enveloped the purple dragon and sealed it. The two collided and the void shattered. "You don't have the right to teach me a lesson. Damn it." The purple dragon from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had an ugly expression. At the same time, people from the sacred Abyss Tower rushed over. Qing Hong asked, "What's going on with the mad god?" Lin Xian glanced at his companions and said indifferently, "Earlier, a phantom attacked me and was shattered by me. So it turned into energy and entered my body. There's a formation ahead. There might be more. Be careful." After saying that, he walked forward. Xueqi followed beside him. "It's another formation." Suddenly, another earth-shattering roar sounded. It turned into a golden lion that covered the sky. Lin Xian used the 6-path fist to shatter it. It turned into a golden light that merged into his palm. "Did you see that?" He waved his hand behind him. The surrounding people were shocked. "So that's how it is. Let's go too." For a moment, they all walked forward. The formation in front of them seemed to have been activated. Roars rang out one after another, resounding through the sky. Zi Long shot out a terrifying phantom and killed the golden lion in front of him. He also felt a golden light enter his body. His expression changed, and he became excited. "Great, I feel a force that can be absorbed. Kill!" He rushed to the left. The others did the same. However, although Lin Xian easily dealt with the golden lion was very terrifying. Someone was immediately sent flying. His body was shattered and blood flowed everywhere. "Damn it, why is he so strong?" They thought that it would be easy to see that guy shatter it with a punch. These people's expressions became unsightly. The Flying Corpse King looked at these people and sneered. "Stupid things! How dare you come here without such strength? Get lost! How dare you look down on us?" The two people were furious. They charged over, but they were sent flying by the Flying Corpse King. The Flying Corpse King grabbed their souls and sneered, "I'll refine you into corpses." Endless death energy rushed out of his body and enveloped the two people. The two people were terrified, but they soon stopped breathing and turned into 2 zombies that followed beside him. The Flying Corpse King laughed. "Haha, it seems that I can form an army of hell." Chapter 49:15. These powerhouses continued to move forward, and at the same time, people continued to retreat. Moreover, they realized that the further they went, the stronger the golden lions that appeared. In the end, everyone's speed became very slow. Even those top-notch experts had stopped. Lin Xian also stopped. He had already shattered 24 golden lions and obtained 24 rays of light that merged into his body. It allowed his power to increase. At the same time, he felt that there seemed to be some mysterious imprints in his mind. These golden lions seemed to be using some kind of divine ability. Lin Xian recalled carefully and realized something. However, it was too vague and unclear. It seemed that there were too few golden lions attacking. If there were more, it might be possible. The other powerhouses naturally also realized something. Reaching level 24 was already extremely difficult. Any further, and one would be extremely powerful. Even Lin Xian would have to exchange over 100 blows before he could win. Roar! Those who could stay here were all top powerhouses. At this moment, an earth-shattering roar came from the front. It was a golden lion that walked out. The light on the golden lion was even more terrifying. It even had a divine aura. Its aura was different. Lin Xian and the others looked solemn. Moreover, everyone realized that there was only one golden lion this time. How could they fight? Everyone wanted to fight for it, but no one dared to act rashly. The people behind had already stopped. It wasn't that they didn't want to go, but they didn't have the strength. Some people wanted to go forward without caring about anything, but they were instantly killed. After dozens of top prodigies died, the surrounding people were afraid. If they didn't have the strength to go forward, they would be courting death. Damn it! Feng Shaoqing saw the golden lion rushing forward. He shouted coldly and used the wind spirit blade technique. The terrifying blade light split the world. The golden lion kept swaying. Although it was huge, its speed was extremely fast. In an instant, it was in front of Feng Shaoqing. Then it grabbed and slapped at him with an earth-shattering aura. It was like a peerless divine palm. Feng Shaoqing's pupils constricted. He was careless. This one was much stronger than the previous ones. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. He was sent flying by the palm. Half of his body was shattered, and his internal organs were turned into ashes. Damn it! He fell to the ground and screamed. Stupid human! You overestimate yourself. A cold voice sounded. The surrounding people were all shocked. This golden lion could even open its mouth to speak. It was too unordinary. Roar! The golden lion in front of him roared at the sky, unleashing its roar divine technique. Not good. Retreat quickly. Everyone's blood was boiling. The people at the front were frantically retreating, while the people at the back were at a loss. They discovered that the sound only covered a certain area. As long as they left that area, they would not be attacked. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He stomped his foot and slashed out like a peerless, demonic blade. He waved his hands and tore apart the void, charging forward aggressively. Boundless ice appeared next to Xueqi, and it froze all of these voices. She also walked over. Apart from them, the others also made their moves. This was also a test. If they couldn't withstand this sound, they probably wouldn't be able to advance any further. In the previous attack, they had all absorbed the power of gold, and their strength had increased compared to when they first arrived. Now, they were displaying their full strength. In the end, 60 people successfully passed. They walked out of the lion's roar and came to the front. The golden lion looked at these people and nodded. The people who came this time were not bad. Follow me. Then he turned around and walked forward. Lin Xian and the others behind him took a deep breath and quickly followed him. They ran all the way. They came to the depths of the Doctrine Palace. The Golden Lion King in front of them stopped. He knelt on the ground respectfully, as if he was worshipping something. Lin Xian and the others behind him were shocked. They saw a golden coffin on the ground in front of them. It had an extraordinary aura, and it emitted a mysterious aura. Countless people were shocked. They didn't know who was buried in this golden coffin. Lin Xian was even more shocked. This was because he seemed to have seen this golden coffin before. When he was in the second astral realm, he had found a golden coffin. At that time, he had found the toad in that place. Lin Xian remembered that a woman was buried in that golden coffin. She had a human body and a snake tail, and she was extremely mysterious. She was even called the Queen by the toad. Now he saw a similar golden coffin. Lin Xian was shocked. Thinking about it, both sides should belong to the same camp. Could that mysterious woman be from the heavenly court? At the same time, could the person buried in the golden coffin be related to the lion? What were the 12 doctrine palaces? Were there 12 powerhouses buried? Lin Xian didn't know. At this moment, the golden lion in front turned around and said in a clear voice, "Trial takers, you will receive a test. If you can successfully pass the test, then we will teach you the supreme technique of the heavenly court, fearless lion seal." Hearing this, many people exclaimed, "The legendary fearless lion seal? Could it be that the one buried was the golden lion king? That was a legendary powerhouse with a mysterious origin and a heaven-defying bloodline. He was actually buried here. Those people had heard of the fearless lion seal before. What kind of test did they have to pass? Zilong, the powerhouse of the 10,000 Dragon Court, asked in a deep voice. The eyes of the others also flickered. The golden lion in front said, "First, luck. Second, strength." Luck? Zilong frowned. How was this a test? The golden lion smiled and waved his hand. The sky shook and the earth shook. Endless spatial cracks appeared and swallowed many people. Not good. Someone exclaimed and wanted to dodge, but he was instantly teleported out. Damn it! Roars sounded one after another. Half of the 60 people were teleported out and only 30 were left. The remaining people were alarmed, their scalps going numb. Was this the so-called luck? If they were unlucky, they would be teleported out. Zilong's body also turned cold, but he soon smiled. If he wasn't teleported out, it meant that his luck was very good. Lin Xian frowned slightly. Xueqi, who was beside him, had been teleported away. When she left, Xueqi said, "Husband, it's up to you now. I'm afraid I won't be so lucky." Was it really random? Lin Xian was surprised. He turned around and found that his friends were also gone. Yi Wudao and Gu Feng were not there. Were they unlucky? Lin Xian felt that something was wrong. He guessed that the two of them should have cultivated the imperial scripture, which was why they were teleported away. Outside, the 30 people were teleported out. Many of them cursed. Damn it, why was my luck so bad? Gu Feng's face was cold. He wanted to use his spatial divine ability to kill his way back. Yi Wudao, who was beside him, said calmly, "Don't go. You and I have the imperial scripture. It might conflict with the heavenly court's ultimate techniques. If you force your way over, aren't you afraid that the peerless formation here will kill you?" Gu Feng's body shook and he stopped. His expression became incomparably ugly. Chapter 49:16. In the end, Gu Feng snorted coldly and did not continue forward. Instead, he went to other places to look for opportunities. Although he had the Imperial Sutra, who would complain about having too many trump cards in their hands. But now, it seemed that it was impossible to learn the fearless lion seal. He could only improve his cultivation and great Tao laws. Yi Wudao was the same. He turned and left. The others, on the other hand, were still waiting unwillingly. In front of the golden coffin, there were only 30 figures left. The golden lion stomped his foot again. The ground split open, and another 8 figures appeared. The 8 figures were like statues, and they were all lions. However, according to the order, each statue had an additional lion head, from 1 to 9. The aura on them was also getting more and more terrifying. You can withstand my lion roar, but let's see if you can withstand the next lion roar. Every time you pass one, you will obtain a part of the cultivation method of the fearless lion seal. If you pass all of them, you will be able to learn the complete fearless lion seal. As soon as he said that, everyone took a deep breath. It seemed to be a difficult test, but they were not afraid. Zilong was the first to walk out. His strength was unparalleled, so he was prepared to take the test. The others watched patiently. Well, let Zilong check it out. They could also use this to deduce what their success rate was. Zilong was very strong. After blocking the 2-headed lion, he blocked the 3rd head, then the 4th head. When he came to the 5th head, he was beaten out. He retreated and vomited blood, his expression turning ugly. Damn it, he roared. You lost your chance. Zilong wanted to go forward, but the golden lion said coldly, causing him to stop. The others were also in an uproar. There was only one chance. The golden lion said that there was only one chance. Unless someone had a better result than him, he could challenge that person. If he won, he could take away his opportunity. There was only one chance for such a challenge. Hearing this, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This was really cruel. Zhulong walked over and asked, "What did you feel just now?" There was only a physical attack. Was there a soul attack? Zilong's face was cold, but he still said it. After all, the other party was also from the Illumination Dragon clan. The Illumination Dragon clan was still willing to join forces. Zhulong nodded after hearing this. He felt that he should be able to surpass the fifth. However, he still waited. 2 more people came forward, but in the end, they were not even as good as Zilong. One was defeated at the 3rd statue, while the other was defeated at the 4th statue. Zhulong could not wait any longer and walked forward. He had been defeated at the 6th stone statue. His results were better than Zilong's, but that was already his limit. Zhulong didn't say anything else. His companion, the Flying Corpse King, was sent out. He looked at Lin Xian, Xiao Zhuang, Peng Wanli, and the others and coldly snorted. Although they all came from the Sacred Abyss Tower, he wouldn't impart any of his experiences to them. "Let me do it." Tyrant walked out. The people around them were surprised. They must be from the tyrants. The physiques of these people were extremely terrifying. This overlord was also extremely famous. How many statues would he be able to walk past? In the end, he also stopped at the 6th statue. Could it be that no one could reach the 7th statue? 20 people had finished participating, and the highest result was the 6th statue. There were still 10 people left. Everyone was in despair. There weren't many people left who were strong enough. At this moment, Xiao Zhuang walked up. He opened his sleepy eyes, yawned, and walked forward. Was this guy still asleep? Sheng Tianzhen snorted. The others also laughed. He looked so unreliable. He would probably be defeated at the 2nd statue. However, to everyone's surprise, Xiao Zhuang passed 5 statues in a row and was about to continue to the 6th. Everyone became nervous. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This Xiao Zhuang was indeed mysterious. It could even be said that he was unfathomable. He didn't know if Xiao Zhuang could pass, but he was also looking forward to it. How was that possible? Zhulong snorted. On the other side, Tyrant wasn't too sure either. However, Xiao Zhuang actually broke through. He went to the 7th statue. Damn it, how did he do it? Zhulong was shocked. Zilong and the others also narrowed their eyes. This person's strength was not ordinary. No, someone shook his head. He seemed to be a soul-type expert. I've heard of him. Logically speaking, his physique shouldn't be so strong. How did he do it? Could it be that the factors in the assessment weren't necessarily physique and soul, but something else? For a moment, everyone was discussing. Xiao Zhuang also went to the 7th statue. He came to the 8th statue. Everyone was stunned and even became nervous. Was this guy going to succeed in obtaining the seal of the Fearless Lion? However, Xiao Zhuang finally retreated at the 8th statue. He sighed. Forget it. There was no need to force things. He was very open-minded. This guy was the one who had gone the furthest. Countless people were shocked and looked at him with red eyes. Although he didn't pass completely, he definitely had more information than they did. When the time came, he might even be able to use this incomplete divine ability. In my opinion, other than strength, there's also luck. Didn't I say before that this test is strength and luck? It's not just about teleportation, but also about luck during the assessment. Zilong walked out and said coldly, I want to challenge him. He already had one chance to challenge him, and he was prepared to use it now. Sure. The golden lion stomped its foot and the ground cracked open, revealing an arena. The two of them were automatically teleported up. Everyone was surprised. Was this Xiao Zhuang really lucky? Xiao Zhuang sighed. You're really annoying. I'm already sleepy, but you still want to disturb me. Do you know the consequences of my anger are terrifying? Although he was seriously angry, in the eyes of others, they all wanted to laugh. This guy was here to make fun of them. Zilong snorted coldly. I advise you to be obedient and give me all the information you obtained. I can spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. A shocking aura of the Tao of Dragon appeared on his body, and at the same time a dragon phantom coiled around his body. Then he slapped over with his claw, shattering the void as he charged forward. This claw was filled with an endless amount of murderous intent. Xiao Zhuang sighed. He was hit by the claw, and his body turned into countless pieces. The surrounding people were stunned. Was he killed in one strike? Torch Dragon snorted coldly. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The others soon realized that the other party didn't die, but turned into countless butterflies. They danced between heaven and earth. What a trick! Zi Long formed a seal with his palms. The dragon phantom coiled and spat out purple flames that filled the sky. This was dragon fire. Chapter 49:17. Looking at the butterflies flying around him, Zilong sneered. He unleashed dragon fire, which swept through the 9 heavens. He wanted to melt the butterflies. However, the butterflies turned into a sea of vicissitudes. The dragon fire in the sky disappeared. Zilong's face was pale. Feeling suppressed, he spat out a mouthful of blood, his expression cold. I didn't expect you to be an expert. However, you've completely angered me. He roared, and 2 flaming sabers appeared. He grabbed them with his dragon claws and charged forward. The terrifying light was tens of thousands of feet long. It was as if a fire dragon had come to life and slashed forward. The butterflies that filled the sky continued to dance, as if they were about to ascend and become immortals. They passed through the endless flames and saber light and arrived in front of Zilong. Zilong felt dizzy. Oh no, it's a soul attack. He had to guard his mind. At the same time, he roared at the sky. However, it was too late. His body fell, foaming at the mouth, and he fainted. Was it over just like that? The surrounding people were shocked. They had thought that it would be an earth-shattering battle. Who would have thought that it would end so quickly? However, Zhulong and the others were frowning. They knew Zilong's strength. The fact that he had fainted so easily was enough to show how terrifying Xiao Zhuang was. If it had been a battle of life and death, Zilong's soul would have been destroyed. Xiao Zhuang walked down and fell asleep at the side. The arena disappeared. Torch Dragon went up and woke Zilong up. Zilong roared at the sky. Damn it! How dare you use such despicable methods? What a disgrace! Lin Xian snorted coldly when he saw this. Despicable methods? It was clearly a fair battle. You're inferior. So why are you embarrassing yourself here? You've disgraced the dragon race. You! Zilong roared and stared at Lin Xian. Mad God, do you want to die? His dragon claws flew out, but they were interrupted halfway by the golden lion. How dare you attack in front of me? You're breaking the rules. Scram! He slapped out with his palm, which turned into a fearless lion and sent Zilong flying. Zilong's body shattered. He screamed and flew into the distance, disappearing. Whoever dared to be impudent would die. The others were terrified and lowered their heads. This was a supreme existence left behind by the heavenly court. They were no match for him at all. Zhulong's expression was cold, but he did not dare to say anything else. Outside, those people were still bitterly holding on, fighting against the lion phantoms that appeared from time to time. However, it was very difficult for someone to break through the limit and walk over. At this moment, they saw a figure flying back. What is it? They were all shocked. Taking a closer look, Zhang Xian discovered that the person had landed on the ground. It was a person. He seemed to be from the dragon race. Wasn't this Zilong? He was a top expert of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty, and he was actually beaten out. Who was it? What happened in the battle ahead? Voices could be heard one after another. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasties. People were also shocked. What was going on with Lord Zilong? Zilong stood up and roared at the sky. His broken body healed, but in the next moment his body swayed and his face turned ugly. Although that blow didn't take his life, it did cause him serious injuries. Previously, he had been overjoyed after absorbing the golden light to increase his strength. However, now that he was seriously injured, his expression turned ugly. In that case, he would fall behind the others. Damn it! He took out some precious treasures from his storage ring and swallowed them with a vicious expression. The surrounding people didn't dare to ask any more. Everyone could see that the other party was filled with killing intent. Many people even left quietly. However, everyone still heard him roar. Mad God, I will tear you into pieces. I won't let you off. The surrounding people were shocked. Did Mad God defeat him? This Mad God was too terrifying. He didn't even give face to the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. On the other side, outside the heavenly court ruins, 2 streaks of light flew past one after another. They were extremely fast and entered the ruins in an instant. They arrived at the Southern Heaven Gate. Was this the legendary Southern Heavenly Gate? It was indeed majestic. The first person scoffed coldly and walked forward. Very quickly, he saw an armored giant charging towards him. That person shouted coldly. The dragon energy on his body was shocking, as if he had turned into a dragon god. He instantly tore apart the phantom. He strode in. Not long after, another person arrived. This person's body was wrapped in black and white. It was also mysterious and terrifying. After he arrived, he carefully sensed it and walked in with ease. He entered the Southern Heaven Gate and flew towards the 2 people in front. Very quickly, they heard a huge battle erupting in front of them. There were also some terrifying great sages. Those people sensed the arrival of 2 experts and turned their heads. Then someone exclaimed, "Dragon Prince, are you out of seclusion?" The Dragon Shine Race was overjoyed. The others were also surprised. They looked carefully and realized that one of them was extraordinarily mighty with 10,000 dragons revolving around him. Without looking at his cultivation, just the aura of his bloodline was even more terrifying than the dragon's sovereign. The Dragon Prince was probably the only one in the world who could do that. He actually came to. The master of the Grand Desolation's eyes shone as he stared at the other party. But soon he shook his head. No, it wasn't the real Dragon Prince. It was just an incarnation. The Dragon Sovereign said, "Dragon Prince, there are 12 Tao palaces ahead. There are heaven-defying opportunities in them." The Dragon Prince laughed. "I understand." He rushed forward and soon entered the Tao Palace. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the Dragon Prince to send an incarnation. But this wasn't the end. Not long after, another expert came from behind. He was like a black and white deity, causing people to tremble. Who was this person? His aura wasn't any weaker than Long Huangzi's. In fact, he was even stronger. It was Kun Pengzi. Divine General Wind, Snow exclaimed when he saw him. Countless people were shocked. Kun Pengzi was also a prince. Not long ago, he was crowned as the Crown King. This person's strength was above the Dragon Prince's. Was he here too? He should be an incarnation too. The master of the Grand Desolation shone brightly. The others also looked solemn. The 2 princes had sent 2 incarnations. Obviously, they were both interested in the heavenly court. Divine General Wind, Snow, went forward and explained the situation. Kun Pengzi nodded and flew towards the Tao Palace in front. In the Tao Palace, countless people felt the aura of the 2 and were shocked. Some people recognized them, such as the people from the Dragon Palace and the Heaven Sect. They exclaimed, "It's the Dragon Prince! Kun Pengzi is here too. Heavens, are they going to enter and obtain the heavenly court's treasures?" everyone was shocked. In their hearts, these two people were godlike existences. They were two mountains that stood at the peak of bloodline and talent. They were something they could only look up to. It would be difficult for anyone to surpass these two people. It was even impossible to get close to them. When Purple Dragon saw the Dragon Prince, he said, "Dragon Emperor, Mad God has gone too far. Please take revenge for me." When the others heard this, their scalps went numb. If the Dragon Prince attacked, could Mad God resist? Chapter 49:18. What a terrifying aura! Yi Wudao raised his head, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. He sensed the aura of the Great Emperor. Of course, he knew that it wasn't the real Great Emperor, but the Crown Prince. They had inherited the strongest bloodline of the Great Emperor. He felt as if he was facing a great enemy. The Heavenly Emperor's sutra circulated quickly in his body, and he seemed to have turned into a golden god of war. On the other side, Gufeng also sensed it, and the void scripture in his body also circulated. His entire body merged into the void. On the other side, Yao Guang also raised his head, and his eyes lit up. The Crown Prince, if he devoured the two of them, his strength and talent would probably surpass the Crown Prince's. He was looking forward to it. However, he didn't dare to make a move. He knew that the Crown Prince was too terrifying. He had countless trump cards and might even bring an extreme weapon. It would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens if he wanted to succeed. However, he wouldn't miss the opportunity. In the sky, Kuan Pengzi and the Dragon Prince also sensed two powerful battle intents, and they even sensed a trace of the Great Emperor's aura. Were they the other Crown Princes? They looked down, their gazes piercing through the 9 underworlds. Then they stared at two figures. No, they weren't the Crown Princes they knew. These two people should be from the monarch race. They had the ancient desolate body and cultivated the Imperial Sutra. Although their talent and bloodline weren't as good as theirs, they were qualified to compete with them. But now, these two people were too weak. Shaking their heads, Kuan Pengzi and the Dragon Prince ignored Yi Wudao and flew into the distance again. In front of the golden coffin, Lin Xian and the others were still trying, and there were less than 5 people left. The one with the highest result was Xiao Zhuang, who had reached the 8th statue. The others couldn't even reach the 5th statue. Could it be that no one succeeded? Countless people sighed. At this moment, Lin Xian took a deep breath and walked out. He was ready to try. Everyone looked over. They had heard of the Mad God's name before. Even if they didn't know, they were shocked by the fact that he had killed 5 experts in a row and fought against the 5 giants. Therefore, at this moment, everyone was talking. There were discussions. Can this guy succeed? I think it's possible. There were also people who shook their heads. Humph! So many people found it difficult to reach the 9th stone tablet. I don't think he has much hope as well. Under everyone's questioning and curious gazes, Lin Xian walked forward. The 2nd stone tablet, the 3rd stone tablet. Lin Xian's speed was very fast. Soon, he arrived at the 5th stone tablet. This was the place where Zilong had arrived. Previously, Zilong had wanted to make a move on Mad God. He wondered if this fellow would be able to pass. Everyone noticed that Lin Xian seemed to have passed the 5th stone tablet very easily, which was surprising. It seemed like this Mad God strength was above Zilong's. Next was the 6th stone tablet. Zhu Long was nervous. This was his result. Could the other party surpass him? Soon, his pupils shrank and his face turned cold. Damn it, the other party had surpassed him without much effort. He reached the 7th stone tablet. Lin Xian also passed, which made everyone stunned. This guy's strength was somewhat heaven-defying. He was going to attack the 8th stone tablet. Would he be able to pass? Previously, Xiao Zhuang had stopped at the 8th stone tablet. Lin Xian walked forward and looked at the stone tablet in front of him. It was a lion coiled on the ground. Its 8 heads were solemn and dignified, emitting a terrifying divine aura. Lin Xian walked forward again. To be honest, the test this time was very terrifying. The lion statue was constantly emitting power. It impacted his physique and even suppressed his soul and bloodline. This was a comprehensive test. However, Lin Xian was not afraid. He was confident in himself. He must obtain the fearless lion seal. He walked over, his aura as deep as the sea, and charged forward. The two collided, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Countless large cracks interweaved. The surrounding people exclaimed. This guy actually blocked it. Zhu Long and the overlord's pupils shrank. Previously, Xiao Zhuang was quickly defeated at the 8th stone tablet. However, Lin Xian was now able to contend with it. He might very well succeed. Xiao Zhuang also opened his sleepy eyes. There were butterflies flashing in his eyes. As expected of the 9-yang divine body, it seemed to have been cultivated to an extremely high level. Lin Xian walked forward and waved his fist. The 6th path, fist pressed forward. The other party unleashed the fearless light, seemingly fearless. The two collided again. The battle erupted. Everyone was shocked. The mad god's strength was so terrifying. At the same time, they were also glad for Zilong. Fortunately, Zilong did not fight the mad god. Otherwise, he would probably be beaten to death. After 200 moves, Lin Xian forcefully broke through the other party's divine ability. He walked over and passed the 8th stone tablet. The surrounding people exclaimed. He really did it. This was the last one. Would he have a chance to obtain the fearless lion seal? The surrounding people's eyes turned red. Although they were all top experts, there were still differences in strength. It seemed that the mad god was above them. They could not believe it. Qing Hong and Zi Hong were also shocked. The two of them could only reach the 6th stone tablet. However, if they worked together, they should be able to reach the 7th. However, they were not confident about reaching the 8th stone tablet. However, Lin Xian did it. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile as he walked towards the 9th stone tablet. At this moment, he suddenly turned around, and an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. The golden lion also roared at the sky. The others were stunned as well. Soon, they felt a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. What a terrifying aura. Someone was coming. Who was it? Was it one of those peerless experts or super mighty figures? Impossible. There was a cultivation limit, so they could not come. In other words, this person was at most an early stage supreme sage. How could an early stage supreme sage be so terrifying? They did not dare to believe it, unless they thought of a possibility, and all of them widened their eyes. In the next moment, they saw two figures arrive one after another. One of them was like a dragon god, surrounded by the aura of 10,000 dragons. The other person had a black and white aura around him. He was extremely mysterious. The dragon prince, Kun Pengzi. Everyone exclaimed. They had guessed that this would be the result, but they did not expect the two princes to really come. Everyone swallowed their saliva. They felt the suppression of their bloodlines. It was too powerful. It was as if they could not raise their heads in front of these two figures at all. Lin Xian's eyes also burst out with an extremely cold light. Princes? He clenched his fists. His body also swayed as he felt the pressure. Humph! His divine body bloomed with light. The great dragon sword's soul roared with a terrifying power to resist. So what if they were princes? He also dared to fight. Chapter 49:19. Everyone was suppressed by the auras of the two martial emperor's sons, and they could not raise their heads. However, Lin Xian took a step forward, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. There was even the roar of a dragon. Someone was going to fight with the imperial princes. Who was it? The surrounding people were shocked. They looked out of the corner of their eyes, and then their scalps went numb. It was Mad God. They saw Mad God standing beside the eighth statue, looking up at the sky arrogantly. Above, the two imperial princes were also stunned. Someone could withstand the pressure of their bloodline? Who was it? Did this person also cultivate an imperial scripture? There were only two kinds of people who could compete with them. First, they had the imperial bloodline like them. Second, they had cultivated an imperial scripture and possessed an imperial secret technique. Other than that, only the extremely terrifying experts of the older generation could compete with their auras. Of course, those experts of the older generation couldn't enter, so they had forgotten about Lin Xian at this moment and frowned. The other party's demonic aura was monstrous. He couldn't be an imperial prince, so he had to have cultivated an imperial scripture. He's from the dragon race. Kun Pengzi said indifferently. The dragon prince frowned. He had indeed sensed the aura of the Tao of dragons in the other party's body, and it was extremely powerful. Which dragon race are you from? The demonic dragon race? The dragon prince frowned. However, he didn't take it to heart. Then he asked again, who is Mad God? How dare you challenge the Dragon Palace and the 10,000 Dragon Court? Come out and die. As soon as these words came out, everyone's scalps went numb. It was over. The Dragon Prince was really here for revenge. Some people from Holy Abyss Ancient City knew about Mad God's matters. Previously, Mad God had fought with Zilong, causing Zilong to be sent flying. More importantly, Mad God had challenged the Dragon Palace. He had even killed many experts and geniuses of the Dragon Palace. At that time, the Dragon Prince had not come out of seclusion. Now that he had come out, was he going to settle the score? I am him. Below, Lin Xian shouted coldly, and the aura on his body burst out again. It seemed that he was going to dominate the 9 heavens. Your Mad God? The Dragon Prince frowned even more. Wasn't he from the dragon race? How dare you go against my 10,000 dragon dynasty? Kneel down obediently and wait for my orders. Just you? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The onlookers were going crazy. Was Mad God really going to compete with the Crown Prince? The Dragon Prince stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Thousands of dragons circled around him. He said coldly, "That's right, because I'm the Imperial Prince." Humph! 10,000 dragons roared under his feet, and an extremely terrifying pressure of dragon blood rushed over. The pupils of the surrounding people shrank, and they quickly retreated. Even the overlord, Zhulong, and the others quickly retreated. This time, even Xiao Zhuang retreated. There was nothing he could do about it. The power of his imperial bloodline was simply too terrifying. Would this fellow be killed by the pressure of his bloodline? Some people thought to themselves. After all, in their hearts, the Crown Prince was like a god. Lin Xian naturally felt the immense pressure as well, and he shouted angrily. Behind him, dragon shadows appeared one after another, emitting terrifying dragon roars. These dragons were made of the myriad dragon god blood, and when paired with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it was as if they had transcended time and space to come to life. They fought against the 10,000 dragons in the sky. Boom! The two bloodline powers collided, causing an earth-shattering earthquake. The onlookers looked as if they had been struck by lightning. Their faces turned pale, and some even vomited blood. Damn it, what was going on? They stared at Lin Xian. He also had the Dragon Clan's bloodline and had so many dragon shadows. Was he also a member of the Dragon Clan? It was too unbelievable. It was shocking news that Mad God was a member of the Dragon Clan. Who exactly are you? The Dragon Prince frowned again. Apart from him, who else could command 10,000 dragons? However, the other party could actually conjure 10,000 dragon shadows. Those were not simple shadows, but they contained the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Black Dragon, Sword Dragon, Thunder Dragon, Sea Dragon, and various other dragon shadows. It was too unbelievable. If the Dragon Prince did not know that he was the only son of the Dragon Emperor, he would have suspected that the other party was also a crown prince. It seems that you have some secrets. Could it be that you have killed countless powerhouses of the dragon clan and used their blood to cast these dragon shadows? If that's the case, I will let you know the feeling of living a life worse than death. The dragon prince was furious. He thought about it, and there was only one possibility. His body descended towards the ground. An even more terrifying force swept in all directions, as if the dragon god had been resurrected. The demonic chi on Lin Xian's body was about to disappear. An even more terrifying light burst out from his eyes, like two divine lamps that lit up the world. He seemed to have seen through everything, and then he looked up to the sky and laughed. Don't you think you are too arrogant for a mere incarnation? Incarnation. This was just an incarnation of the Dragon Prince. Oh my God! Just an incarnation was enough to make them feel like they were facing a formidable enemy. They could not even resist. How terrifying was the Dragon Prince's true body! He could kill all of them with one finger. Wait, in addition to the Dragon Prince, was Kuan Peng Zi also an incarnation? Was this the Crown Prince? He was too powerful. He was so powerful that they seemed to be unable to compete with him for the rest of their lives. My incarnation is enough to deal with you. The Dragon Prince snorted with a trace of indifference in his eyes. In his eyes, other than Kuan Peng, who could make him serious, the others were ants. I heard that you are ranked 1000 on the honor roll. Your identity is indeed amazing, but unfortunately I am ranked 2nd on the honor roll. I am destined to be crowned king in the future. The difference between you and me is the difference between an ant and a giant dragon. Now, I will make you feel despair. The Dragon Prince's incarnation raised a palm, which was surrounded by the shadow of a dragon. It seemed that this move could destroy the entire world. Lin Xian's face was cold. He had to admit that the other party was indeed very powerful. Even if it was just an incarnation, he had to go all out. However, he believed that with his trump cards and many unique techniques, he would be able to resist. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian's body emitted an even more terrifying aura. He even took out the great spear of destruction. The great dragon, Sword Soul, was circulating in his body. Was he really going to fight? Could the mad god block this move? Previously, it was just a collision of bloodline auras. Now that the Dragon Prince was going to use a peerless divine power, the mad god would probably vanish instantly. This palm of mine is called the Dragon Cloud Palm. If you can block this palm of mine and not die, I will spare your life today. The Dragon Prince's eyes were filled with strong confidence. It was just a casual attack, but it was not something that others could block. Not to mention the other party. Even a mid-stage great sage outside would be destroyed by this palm, not to mention the other party. One palm. Lin Xian snorted. The Dragon Prince was underestimating him. Today, he would experience the Imperial Prince's unique technique. He also walked out. At this moment, the Golden Lion King roared. Fighting was not allowed here. Those who violated the rules would be killed without mercy. A loud voice rang out, causing everyone's expression to change. The Dragon Prince was even more furious. A lion dared to be impudent in front of him? He turned around. The 10,000 dragons under his feet roared as if they were going to tear the golden lion into pieces. Chapter 49:20. Boom! A terrifying sound tore through the 9 heavens. The golden lion's huge body shattered into pieces and disappeared into thin air. Was he dead? Countless people were shocked. Many of them had experienced how powerful the golden lion was before, but now it was destroyed by Long Yun with a single strike. Other than Kuan Peng, no one else could withstand this attack. Mad God would definitely die. All right, the fly is dead. Let's see who can stop me now. The Dragon Prince circled around. Everyone lowered their heads. Kuan Peng Zi stood above the 9 heavens, his eyes flickering. He didn't stop him. He wouldn't go against the Dragon Prince for an ant. Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together. This was the strongest enemy he had ever encountered in his life. This was only the imperial prince. He didn't know how terrifying a true emperor would be. Lin Xian felt his blood boiling. He gripped the great spear of destruction tightly, his eyes shining. At this moment, another voice sounded. "It's useless. You can't kill me." Lin Xian was taken aback when he heard this, and he looked ahead. The others also raised their heads in shock. It was the Golden Lion's voice. Was he not dead? In the void in front of them, countless rays of golden light condensed, and the phantom of the Golden Lion appeared again. He walked over in the air. "Not dead." The Dragon Prince frowned. Kunpeng Zi also spoke. "You should be the Array Spirit, right?" Array Spirit. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian was also surprised. He was a formation expert, so he had naturally heard of Array Spirits. This was extremely impressive. It was an intelligent, spiritual creature formed by a formation. It was an extremely mysterious existence. He didn't expect this Golden Lion to be the Array Spirit. That's right. The Golden Lion raised his head and said, "I'm the Array Spirit, so you can't kill me." "Can't kill you?" Dragon Prince Long. "Humph. Then I'll destroy this formation." "Without the formation, let's see if you can survive." He was arrogant and unruly. There was nothing in the world that he couldn't do. The Golden Lion stopped and sat in the void. The light on his body became more and more terrifying. "Although you are the Imperial Prince, this is the Heavenly Court, the Golden Lion Palace of the 12 Tao Palaces. This is not a place where you can act as you please. If you want to contend against the true Golden Lion King, wait until you become a great emperor." The Golden Lion King's voice was incomparably cold. At the same time, a magic array appeared in the surroundings. The peerless killing intent caused everyone's hair to stand on end. No one hesitated. Under this attack, no one would be able to escape. Perhaps only a few imperial princes would be able to leave alive. Of course, this was on the premise that these imperial princes had extreme weapons on them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fight back. Lin Xian also felt his hair stand on end. He discovered that not only did the array formation light up, the golden coffin in front of him also seemed to be emitting mysterious runes. From the looks of it, he did indeed have a peerless trump card. The two imperial princes looked at the golden jar and felt their blood run cold. Above, Kunpeng Zi frowned and spoke coldly. "Long Wu Gu, I advise you not to act rashly." This was the fearless Lion King of the Heavenly Court. The Dragon Prince frowned. The fearless Lion King? So it was him, the golden coffin of the 12 Tao Palaces. What, did he want to come back to life? What a joke. Even a great emperor was dead. It was impossible for him to come back to life. After saying that, he looked at the Golden Lion King in front of him. "A mere spirit array dares to threaten me. Remember, when I become a great emperor, it will be the death of your golden Tao Palace." As soon as this voice rang out, endless giant dragons roared in the world, forming an oath. The entire heavenly court also changed and endless lightning fell. What happened? The people outside were shocked. Even the Lord of the Great Desolation, the Lord of the Dragon Radiance, and the others looked incomparably solemn. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals roared, their killing intent soaring. The Golden Lion King's expression was solemn as he spoke in a deep voice. "The heavenly court will never be destroyed. Even if you become a great emperor, you won't be able to destroy it. Moreover, do great emperors think so simply? Since ancient times, no imperial prince had ever become a great emperor. You won't be an exception. The ancients couldn't do it, but it doesn't mean that I can't." The Dragon Prince took a step forward, his body exuding an earth-shattering, domineering aura. "I was born to break the rules of heaven and earth. I will definitely become a great emperor." This time, even Lin Xian was shocked. What a strong belief. What a terrifying martial Tao heart. He had to admit that the Dragon Prince was simply an invincible existence. He had the best bloodline talent, the most cultivation resources, the strongest martial Dao heart, and the most domineering demeanor. And the highest goal. It could be said that no one was a match for him. And this was just the Dragon Prince. Kuan Pingzi had awakened earlier than Long Huangzi, and his current cultivation level was higher. How far had he reached? Lin Xian felt immense pressure, but he wasn't afraid at all. He knew that there weren't many great emperors in history, but each great emperor had a different experience. Some were chosen by the heavens, sweeping through the world and becoming the eldest brother. However, there were also those who rose from the dust and stood above the 9 heavens. If the previous great emperors could do it, he was confident that he could do it too. At this moment, his eyes bloomed with an extremely terrifying confidence. That was the heart of invincibility. Boom! Boom! Lightning struck between heaven and earth once again. Above the 9 heavens, the wind and clouds swirled. At this moment, everyone felt a tremor in their souls again. It was as if a supreme god was looking down on them. The Dragon Prince suddenly turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. I didn't expect an ant like you to have an invincible, martial Dao heart. Kuan Pingzi also looked over and nodded for the first time. Interesting person. However, just having an invincible martial Dao heart isn't enough. There aren't many people in this world who can compete with us. His eyes were filled with coldness. It was a coldness that looked down on the world. At their level, they were indeed qualified to look down on the world. Lin Xian smiled. How would you know if you don't try? My goal is also to become a great emperor. To become a great emperor. The surrounding people were shocked. This was their goal since they were born and knew about martial Dao. However, it was just a thought. When they really stepped on the path of martial Dao, they would give up on this thought. Because the further they went, the more they knew that it was impossible to become a great emperor, especially now that they were peak sages, and some had even become great sages. However, they were already in despair. They knew that their cultivation speed would become slower and slower. The bloodline talent was like a cage that locked them tightly, making it impossible for them to enter the great emperor realm for the rest of their lives. In fact, in the hearts of these top geniuses, becoming a peak great sage was already a dream. However, this mad god dared to say that he wanted to become a great emperor. Was he naive, or did he really have such confidence? Kuan Pingzi shook his head. He felt that mad god was too naive. The Dragon Prince sneered. Stupid. You don't know your place. Kid, I won't kill you now. However, when you walk out of here, let's see who can stop me. Chapter 49:21. After saying that, the Dragon Prince ignored Lin Xian and looked at the golden coffin in front of him. Golden Lion King. I want to experience it. He walked forward. At the same time, Kuan Pingzi also moved in the sky. Everyone exclaimed. Could it be that the 2 princes didn't come here for the fearless lion seal, but for the golden coffin? Lin Xian also frowned, but he didn't care. He was indeed different from the princes. The path to take was also different. So, he didn't need to care about what the other party was doing. His current target was the 9th stone statue. He had already broken through the 9th one. He would be able to obtain the fearless lion seal. From what the Golden Lion Formation Spirit said, the Golden Lion King was also a supreme existence that swept through the 9 heavens. Perhaps only a true great emperor could suppress it. Then the other party's ultimate technique was definitely terrifying. It should be comparable to a great emperor's ultimate technique. He had to master it. The 9th statue had 9 heads. Its power was even more terrifying than all the previous 8 statues combined. Lin Xian also felt a huge pressure. Under this terrifying roar, Lin Xian's body even cracked and blood dripped down. He roared, and demonic energy surged into the sky, covering him and the 9th statue, because he had some methods that he didn't want others to see. The crowd couldn't see it. They could only see demonic energy, surging into the sky, and earth-shattering sounds. Obviously, Mad God was crazily attacking. On the other side, what shocked them even more was the two princes. One of them was flying in the sky, while the other was walking on the ground. Both of them charged toward the golden coffin. This time, the Golden Lion Formation spirit didn't activate the Peerless Formation and allowed the two princes to charge over. Was he going to give up? Or was he absolutely confident in the golden coffin? The golden coffin had been there for tens of thousands of years, but there was no dust on it at all. Instead, it flickered with a mysterious light. Sensing the bloodline aura of the two princes, a terrifying fluctuation erupted, as if something was about to be resurrected inside. The surrounding people felt their bodies split open. Not good, retreat quickly. They were terrified and didn't dare to stay here anymore. A few of them still wanted to hold on, but their bodies shattered and turned into a bloody mist. The souls fled with the bloody mist in the sky, roaring in fear. Everyone had retreated. Other than the two princes, only the Golden Lion Erase Spirit and Lin Xian, who was still crazily attacking the statue, were left. Lin Xian also sensed the earth-shattering sounds of battle ahead, as well as a terrifying aura. However, he ignored it. He unleashed all sorts of methods to contend against it. His powerful physique, terrifying God's Eye, and Dragon Soul Sword Chi were all unleashed. After a fierce battle, he finally succeeded in suppressing and breaking through the ninth statue. The next moment, he felt a wave of information coming from the statue, surging into his glabella. Lin Xian's body trembled as an extremely sharp light appeared in his eyes. He had obtained the complete mark of the Fearless Lion. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He left behind an avatar and sat down cross-legged. As for his main body, it had entered the sword world. Lin Xian wanted to comprehend it quickly. He knew that there was a huge threat waiting for him, and that was the Dragon Prince. The other party had already set his eyes on him. He would definitely fight with him. Although he was not afraid, he still learned the mark of the Fearless Lion. His chances of winning were higher. After entering, Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the Four Spirit Valley. He felt a powerful and mysterious aura and began to cultivate the mark of the Fearless Lion. He entered a state of selflessness. Outside, Xiao Zhuang, Pangwanli Zhulong, and the others had gathered. The others also retreated. They were at the back. There was nothing they could do. The scene ahead was too terrifying. What happened? Those who had not gone before were puzzled. Those who came later told them what had happened before. Everyone was shocked. The two princes were just incarnations, but they were already so terrifying. Moreover, there was a mysterious golden coffin in front of them. There was also the legendary Peerless Divine Ability, the mark of the Fearless Lion. One piece of news after another shocked them. Their eyes were red with envy. But soon they sighed. So many top-notch experts had failed the test. Only Mad God was left inside. And did he succeed? They didn't know either. Some people from the Dragon Palace sighed. Why didn't the Dragon Prince fight for the mark of the Fearless Lion? If the Dragon Prince wanted to fight for it, that Mad God had no chance at all. The people from the 10,000 Dragons dynasty shook their heads. They had underestimated the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince cultivated the Dragon Emperor scripture. There were many ultimate divine abilities in there, and they were all the arch-divine abilities. No matter how strong the mark of the Fearless Lion was, could it compare to a arch-divine ability? As soon as these words came out, everyone understood. So that was the case. It seemed that the two disciples had come for the golden coffin. No one knew what was inside the golden coffin. They began to wait patiently. However, 3 months passed. No one had returned yet. Everyone was shocked. Had they died? However, that terrifying aura was still sweeping out. No one dared to go forward. They continued to wait. Half a year had passed. Many people were in despair. Some of them even prepared to leave and go to other places. There were also people looking around to see if there were any other weapon fragments that could be used to comprehend the great Tao. However, the outside world was also terrifying. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were all puppets formed by the powerhouses of the heavenly court. It was abnormally terrifying. They had never stopped attacking. Therefore, some people returned to the Tao Palace and began to cultivate here. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed. Everyone was in despair. If it wasn't for the terrifying aura in front, they would have thought that the clones of the two princes had died. However, someone said, "It's been more than a year, but Mad God still hasn't come out. I think he must have died." That was for sure. The two princes had attacked the peerless powerhouses of the heavenly court. It was understandable that it had taken a long time. Mad God had probably already been defeated and killed by the crown prince. Was he dead? Qing Hong, Zi Hong, Yenling, and the others frowned. Zhu Long, Zi Long, and the others sneered. It was good that he was dead. They could take revenge if he was dead. When the second year passed, everyone thought that Mad God wouldn't return alive. After all, if he had obtained the mark of the fearless lion, he would have returned long ago. Mad God couldn't have withstood such a terrifying aura. If he hadn't returned, it meant that he had died. After 2.5 years, the terrifying aura in front finally disappeared. Then 2 figures flew back. The light on their bodies had dimmed. After 2.5 years of fighting, the 2 clones still hadn't opened the golden coffin. Instead, they were injured. If it wasn't for the supreme Tao aura surrounding them, the 2 clones would have died here. Chapter 49:22. Look, the 2 princes have returned. Countless people exclaimed. They saw 2 godlike figures flying back. How is the prince? The people from the 1,000 Dragon Court and the sky sect walked up and asked nervously. The 2 princes frowned. It seemed that just using their incarnations was not enough. If their original bodies were here, they could open it and take a look. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The person buried in front was actually so terrifying. However, some people knew that the fearless Lion King was an existence that dared to challenge the great emperor. Even if such a person had fallen for countless tens of thousands of years, he would still have enough trump cards to deal with all changes. The people from the 1,000 Dragon Court said, "Dragon Emperor, let's leave and help Dragon Illumination Master and the others outside." The great battle outside was still erupting. Those heavenly soldiers seemed to be immortal and indestructible, giving people a headache. However, Long Huangzi stood there with his hands behind his back, the corners of his mouth curled up. "No, I'm waiting for that Mad God. I want to see where he gets the qualifications to challenge me. I'm waiting for Mad God." The surrounding people were stunned. Zilong said, "Could it be that he's not dead yet?" "Impossible." Zhu Long also shook his head. "He must have already fallen inside." The Dragon Prince snorted coldly. "He's not dead yet. I see that the demonic energy is monstrous. He's sitting cross-legged in front of the 9th statue. It seems like he wants to comprehend the fearless lion seal." What? Did that guy really get it? The surrounding people were shocked. Some people's eyes instantly turned red as they gritted their teeth. Damn it. Zilong, Zhulong, and the others were also jealous. However, the Dragon Prince sneered. "It doesn't matter. Wait for me to kill him with 1 palm and collect his soul. The fearless lion seal can be given to you to cultivate." "Really? Great. Thank you, Prince." They were extremely happy. However, Qing Hong, Zi Hong, Xiao Zhuang, and the others frowned. It seemed that Mad God was very dangerous. With the Dragon Prince's words, no one was in a hurry to leave because they wanted to see what would happen next. After another half a year, which was the 3rd year, Lin Xian finally stopped in the sword world. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile. He formed a seal with his palm and pushed it forward. A golden light bloomed, turning into a fearless lion that charged forward. How terrifying! When the four spiritual beasts felt this aura, they were also astonished. What kind of ultimate technique was this? It was even more powerful than the man-ruler seal and the mountain-embracing seal. Lin Xian was overjoyed. Great, as expected of an ultimate technique comparable to a Thearchus theurgy. That being said, although the ultimate art was powerful, it was also difficult to cultivate. He had spent 3 years comprehending it, and with the help of the great dragon sword spirit, he had only barely grasped it. However, he did not continue cultivating, because he didn't know what the situation outside was like. From the looks of it, if he had the chance in the future, he would continue to cultivate and increase the strength of the seal of the fearless lion through actual combat. Now he had to leave quickly, although there's the threat of the dragon prince outside. Lin Xian is confident that it was just the power of 9 Yang divine body and fearless lion seal. Next, he fused the power of the great dragon sword soul into the seal of the fearless lion. The fearless lion raised its head to the sky and roared as if it had come alive. The power of the strike it unleashed was several times stronger than before. Even the 4 spirit beasts were shocked, and they jumped in fright. Damn, I thought that the Golden Lion King had revived. The effect was not bad. Lin Xian nodded his head in satisfaction. He had only cultivated for 3 years. In the future, the seal of the fearless lion would become stronger and stronger. With a sway of his body, he walked out of the sword world. With a wave of his hand, his clone disappeared, and the demonic energy that filled the sky also dissipated. Lin Xian looked ahead and frowned slightly. The terrifying aura was still there. However, the 2 princes had already disappeared. He didn't know if they had succeeded or not. He, too, walked towards the golden coffin in front of him. When he approached, he felt a huge pressure. This power was much more terrifying than the 9 statues from before. Seeing someone walking forward, the golden lion array spirit appeared again. Lin Xian stopped and asked, "Senior, how was the battle situation? Those 2 princes didn't succeed, right?" The golden lion array spirit shook its head. The 2 incarnations did not have that much energy. They did not succeed and had already left half a year ago. However, I can feel that they did not leave the Dao Palace. They seem to be waiting for you. As expected, Lin Xian snorted. It seemed that the Dragon Prince did not plan to let him go. However, he would let the other party experience the seal of the fearless lion that he had just cultivated. What do you plan to do? Leave now. Let me give you a suggestion. You can continue to cultivate here. 10 years later, your seal of the fearless lion should be completed, and they should be able to leave. It was not a wise choice to fight with the princes now. Thank you for your kind intentions, Senior. 10 years is too long. I can't afford to wait. Senior also said that he was just an incarnation and didn't have that much energy. Indeed, if the other party's main body came, Lin Xian would probably have to cultivate for 10 years. However, Lin Xian felt that an incarnation was enough. Furthermore, his trump card was not something that the Dragon Prince could imagine. All right. The Golden Lion Array spirit nodded. He said, "Can you let me see the results of your cultivation?" He also did not believe that a person could cultivate such an absolute art in 3 years. "Kid, let him take a look." Laughter rang out. Lin Xian was surprised. He suddenly raised his head and saw another figure in a black robe walking over. He looked like an old demon. Lin Xian smiled. "Black Mountain, why are you here?" That's right, it was Black Mountain. He walked over with a sky lantern in his hand. "I'm a member of the Heavenly Court. Why can't I come here?" Then he looked at the Golden Lion and said, "Look at what I said. This kid will definitely go out immediately. You lost the bet." The Golden Lion snorted. "You already know him. This doesn't count." Lin Xian rolled his eyes. These 2 guys were actually using his matter to kill time? "Young man, let me see the seal of the fearless lion that you cultivated." The array spirit spoke again. Lin Xian nodded. The demonic qi on his body had disappeared. With Black Mountain here, he did not need to hide. The 9-yang divine body released a powerful force. Then, Lin Xian sent a palm forward. A golden lion swept in all directions and ran forward. That power was shocking. He really cultivated it. The array spirit also exclaimed, "How did you do it in 3 years?" It was too shocking. This was not an ordinary martial art. Black Mountain said, "You are underestimating him. Not only does he have the 9-yang divine body, he is also the successor of the great dragon Sword Soul." The great dragon Sword Soul was unparalleled in attack. It was not surprising that he could quickly master an absolute art. Moreover, he did not use the full power of the great dragon Sword Soul in the attack just now. If the great dragon Sword Soul and the seal of the fearless lion merged, it would be enough to block the dragon cloud hand that the dragon prince transformed into. Chapter 49-23. So that was the case. The golden lion was shocked. It seems like your trump card isn't much weaker than the dragon prince's incarnation. This time, Lin Xian's life shouldn't be in danger, but he still said, "But this incarnation is much stronger." His true body was more than 10 times stronger than his incarnation. Not only did he possess an imperial scripture, but he could also use an extreme weapon. "I understand. Thank you, Senior, for your reminder. But I still have trump cards." Lin Xian smiled. "No matter what, I should be a member of the Heavenly Court, right?" "Of course." Black Mountain said, "You are from the Heavenly Court. Kid, go out later. Work with me. I need the strength of those people to open a bunch of Heavenly Court foundations that have been sealed for a long time." "What is it?" Lin Xian was shocked. Was it related to the golden coffin? Black Mountain shook his head. "No, it is a bunch of ancient people who have been sleeping. You can think of them as the master of the desolate wilderness, Feng Shaoqing, etc." When he heard that, Lin Xian was shocked too. Reviving people from tens of thousands of years ago was something the Purple Palace could do. The Heavenly Court actually had it too. However, he quickly understood. The Purple Palace and Heavenly Court were enemies, and their trump cards weren't much different. Otherwise, one side would have been wiped out long ago. Since the Purple Palace had ancient experts, the Heavenly Court definitely had some too. However, it seemed like it wouldn't be easy to revive them. Black Mountain said, "I need really strong power to activate the formation for me to wake them up." I understood. Lin Xian and Black Mountain talked for a long time. After Lin Xian grasped the entire plan, he left. He knew what to do next. "Okay, then I will go." His body shook and Lin Xian flew out. I followed too. The Golden Lion King ran over. Lin Xian didn't stop him. After all, who knew whether or not the Dragon Prince would use the entire 10,000 dragon dynasty to attack him? Moreover, there was Kuan Pengzi at the side. The people outside were getting impatient. 3 years had passed, and that fellow still hadn't come out. Was he going to continue comprehending? If he didn't come out for 10 years, or even 100 years, they were going to wait here. The Dragon Prince's face was also cold. He said that if he didn't come out in a month, they would leave. Go outside to assist Draconic Lord and the rest. Good. The 10,000 dragons dynasties, people nodded, and everyone else deeply breathed in. There was still 1 month left. However, after only 6 days, they raised their heads. 2 forces were flying towards him at high speed. Who were they? Was it Mad God? Then, who was the other one? Here it comes. The Dragon Prince's eyes shone with a terrifying light. Not only was he powerful, but his soul was also powerful. He was far stronger than the people around him. Therefore, before anyone could react, he saw Mad God shrouded in devilish shadows. The other was the Array Spirit. Did the 2 of them come together? Was she afraid that he would go back on his word? He snorted disdainfully. The others soon discovered that two figures had appeared in front of them. It was none other than Mad God. They cried out in surprise. This was too inconceivable. He had already obtained the lion's seal? One after another voice rang out. You actually dared to come out. I have to say that your courage is commendable. I thought you would hide in there for 100 years. Dragon Prince's clone sneered. 100 years? 3 years is enough. Lin Xian walked out and said, Come, let's see how you're going to suppress me. Beside him, the golden lion array spirit walked out and said, As the Imperial Prince, you have to keep your word. You won't go back on your word now, right? As expected, it was because of this. Dragon Prince sneered. Humph. Why are you helping me after I cultivate the lion seal? But it didn't matter. One move was enough to kill him. He didn't want to use a second move. Kid, are you ready? Take out your strongest technique. Otherwise, you won't have a chance in the future. Dragon Prince's clone walked out, emitting a monstrous aura. The surrounding people retreated. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty and the Dragon Palace sneered. Going against the Imperial Prince was a dead end. The others were extremely worried. My husband should be fine, right? Xueqi was extremely nervous. Yi Wudao also rushed over. He knew that Mad God was Lin Xian, so he clenched his fists nervously. Compete with the Imperial Prince? To be honest, she was looking forward to it. Gu Feng, Peng Wanli, and the others were all watching intently. At the front, Lin Xian walked out without a trace of nervousness. He said, I've never fought with the Imperial Prince before. Today, let me see how powerful the legendary Imperial Prince is. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm. Endless golden light condensed in his palm. It turned into the phantom of a lion and was pushed out by him. A roar shook heaven and earth, carrying with it an indomitable and fearless aura. The surrounding people were shocked and cried out in surprise. Fearless lion. That's the lion seal. Heavens, in just 3 years he had already learned this kind of ultimate skill? Damn it, what kind of talent is that? Zhulong, Zilong, and the others went crazy. It was as if they were dreaming. Xueqi heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Wudao, Gufeng, and the others were also shocked. Even they couldn't master such a technique in 3 years. Even Kun Pengzi was surprised. What high talent! The surrounding people were in an uproar again. What kind of glory was it to be recognized by the Imperial Prince? You have some strength. There aren't many people below the Imperial Prince who are more talented than you. The Dragon Prince nodded slightly. However, it's a pity that you met me. I won't give you a chance. Dragon Cloud Hand. His entire arm seemed to have turned into a true dragon, with clouds and mist lingering around his arm. When he struck out with his palm, it was as if a true dragon had poked its head out of the clouds and roared at the sky. It fought with the golden, fearless lion. Roar! Roar! In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked. A violent storm swept out in all directions. Not good, retreat. The surrounding people quickly retreated, leaving only one figure standing in the same place. That was Kunpengzi. The black and white qi on Kunpengzi's body formed a set of armor, blocking all the power. It's still not enough. He looked at the scene in front of him and said indifferently. The Dragon Cloud Hand turned into a true dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, and pressed down on the golden, fearless lion. He pressed the fearless lion to the ground, making it unable to resist. Seeing this, the people in the distance cried out in surprise. The difference was too great. However, the fact that the madman could fight the Imperial Prince to this extent was enough to be proud. Zilong sneered. What's the use? From now on, he'll cease to exist. So this is the Imperial Prince? A mere clone could use such a terrifying technique. Gu Feng and Yi Wudao's eyes shone brightly. They were analyzing how they would deal with this attack if it were them. There was one more person, and that was Yao Guang. Yao Guang snorted coldly, his eyes shining with a cold light. If the madman died, he would definitely devour his corpse. Chapter 49:24. Did you see that? Kid, this is the difference between us. The cloud dragon, hand pressed down on the fearless lion. The dragon prince laughed coldly. He used a little force, and the other party was about to collapse. Sigh, who could understand the feeling of being invincible? All right, kid, it's over. The dragon prince's eyes were filled with killing intent. The other party was indeed very strong and was a threat. If he was allowed to grow, he would be a problem in the future. If he didn't appear in the future, the Dragon Palace and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would suffer heavy losses. Hence, he couldn't allow such a person to live. The golden lion's light became dimmer and dimmer. The cloud dragon hand not only wanted to kill the fearless lion, but it also wanted to kill Lin Xian. The true dragon raised its head and roared. It stared at Lin Xian and was about to charge over. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Do you think I only have this much strength? It was just a warm-up. Now, I'll let you see the true fearless lion. Lin Xian didn't take out his true trump card. Now he was going to activate the power of the great dragon's sword soul. Stupid thing, don't you see the truth? The difference between us isn't something you can cross. The dragon prince was angry. He waved his hand, and the golden lion in front of him shattered. The cloud dragon hand charged over and shattered the void. In an instant, it arrived in front of Lin Xian and enveloped him. The giant dragon roared, wanting to tear Lin Xian into pieces. Not good. Xue Qi was nervous. Zilong and the others laughed coldly. Everything was over. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. He instantly formed a seal, and the power of the great dragon sword soul surged into the fearless lion seal. Instantly, an earth-shattering roar sounded. This roar was several times stronger than before. A lion flew out from his fingertips and pounced at the true dragon. Boom! This attack was really too terrifying. Everyone was stunned. They seemed to have seen a fearless lion that crossed the ancient time and space. Was the true god beast revived? Why was it so lifelike? The golden lion array spirit beside him also trembled and stood up abruptly. He was in disbelief. Why do I feel the aura of a soul? How did he do it? His face was full of surprise. To be able to use the fearless lion to this extent in just 3 years, it was too inconceivable. On the other side, Kun Pengzi's eyes were also emitting black and white light. What was with this aura? His strength was more than 10 times stronger than before. Was this the kid's trump card? The seal of the lion pounced over and fought with the true dragon, suppressing it. The dragon prince was stunned as well, but soon he came back to his senses. His face darkened. Had he underestimated his opponent? Boom! In the end, the true dragon was torn in half. The fearless lion roared towards the sky and charged towards the dragon prince. The dragon prince's face was cold. Get lost. With a roar, 10,000 dragons gathered behind him, forming a dragon diagram that directly suppressed the fearless lion. With a boom, it dissipated between heaven and earth. The dragon prince took a step forward and was about to attack again. The golden lion snorted. Stop! One move has already passed. As the emperor's son, are you going to go back on your word? Whoa! The dragon prince's hand stopped in midair. The terrifying aura of the Tao of Dragons was retracted. His expression flickered, then he sneered. What a fearless lion seal! I didn't expect you to have a trump card that exceeded my imagination. All right, as the emperor's son, I have to do what I say. So one move it is. You're very lucky today. I won't attack again, and you can live for a while longer. But the next time I meet you, you won't be so lucky. The dragon prince retracted his palm and shouted coldly. Lucky? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The other party was really stubborn. He said that the next time they met, his strength would be 10 times stronger than now. At that time, it was not certain who would lose. The surrounding people were stunned. What did this guy do? He actually blocked the Dragon Prince's attack. One had to know that although the Dragon Cloud Dragon Hand was just one attack from the incarnation, it wasn't something that they could block. But Mad God actually blocked it. Could it be that Mad God was already above them? Could he compete with the Emperor's son? Thinking of this possibility, their scalps went numb. Xueqi smiled. As expected of her husband, he had so many trump cards. Yi Wudao and Gu Feng looked solemn. Although they had only exchanged one move, they could already feel the strength of the Emperor's son. This was just one incarnation. Were they going to compete with such a person in the future? Thinking about it made them feel despair. Damn it, how was this possible? Zilong ran frantically. The Dragon Prince was a god in his eyes, but he couldn't kill him with one move. Zhu Long also said that the Dragon Prince must have been careless. Otherwise, how could he not kill him? Yes, no matter how strong Mad God was, how could he be a match for the Dragon Prince? As soon as the Dragon Prince's true body appeared, he could kill him with one look. The people of the dragon race roared crazily, trying to regain their confidence. The Dragon Prince said indifferently, "All right, let's go." Although the other party could block one of his moves, that was all. The other party was not a match for him. With the Dragon Prince's order, the people of the 1,000 Dragon Court followed. The people of the Dragon Palace also took a deep breath and quickly followed. They had other things to do, which was to help the Dragon Sovereign and the others. Let's go. Kunping Zi also left with the people of the Heaven Sect. But before he left, he took a deep look at Lin Xian. Mad God, huh? If he didn't fall and continued to grow at this speed, he might become an opponent in the future Emperor's path. That included the fact that the other party could never win and was just a stepping stone. The others felt their scalps go numb. They couldn't imagine that Mad God was the strongest person under the Emperor's sun. This was equivalent to a mountain pressing down on them, making it difficult for them to turn the tables. In the future, he would be their strongest opponent. That's great, you're not hurt, right? Xueqi flew over and asked with concern. Lin Xian shook his head. Qing Hong, Zi Hong, and the others also flew over. They exclaimed, "You did it, you really did it." "How did you do it?" They found it hard to believe. "I did it because the Dragon Prince isn't invincible, but he's not invincible." Although Lin Xian made it sound simple, these people knew that other than Lin Xian, no one else could do it. Seeing that these people were still in shock, Lin Xian smiled. "Let's go and help the divine generals." "All right." These people nodded, and the group walked into the distance. The Golden Lion Array spirit looked at Lin Xian's departing figure and revealed a smile. The fearless lion could be carried forward. He turned and continued to guard the Golden Dao Palace. Everyone left? Then I'll start preparing. In front of the golden coffin, Black Mountain's figure turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared. His plan was about to begin. Chapter 49-25. The battle outside was still raging. It had been 3 years, and those experts were not tired at all. They were much stronger than Lin Xian and the others. However, such unparalleled experts and super mighty figures were in the minority after all. However, there were many young geniuses, like Zilong. Therefore, when these people joined forces and used various trump cards, they were able to fight back. In addition to the clones of the Dragon Prince and Kunpingzi, both of them carried an extreme power. That was the power of an extreme weapon, and it was extremely terrifying when they attacked. In an instant, many heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were pushed back. Their bodies swayed, and the nomological laws on them dimmed. "It's great that you're back." The experts were also happy to see their disciples return and heaved a sigh of relief. The divine generals all asked, "How was it?" Qin Hong, Xiao Zhuang, and the others told them, and the four great divine generals gasped. Inside was the legendary Taoist palace of the fearless Lion King, and it even had the cultivation method of the fearless lion seal. It was really unbelievable. However, what was surprising was that it seemed that only Lin Xian was cultivating it. Divine General Hai Yuan and Kunpingzi smiled. Great, Lin Xian was on their side. Lin Xian's strength made them feel gratified. Divine General Chen Chen's face darkened, and he said coldly, "Kid, if we didn't hold them back, how could you have entered? Teach me the cultivation method of the fearless lion seal." Lin Xian glanced at him and smiled. "You want to learn? You want to go to the Tao Palace?" "You." Divine General Chen Chen was so angry that he vomited blood. "Are you going to be ungrateful?" Lin Xian said, "Don't judge me with your despicable heart." He ignored him and looked at Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Yunge. With a wave of his hand, he took out 6 weapon fragments. These were all given to him by the Array Spirit. He said, "Seniors, I can't teach you the fearless lion seal, but I'm naturally grateful that you brought me here." These 6 weapon fragments contain the Heavenly Court's Great Tao. If you can comprehend it and engrave it on your weapon, it can make your sacred weapon even more terrifying. The eyes of Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Hai Yuan lit up when they saw the 6 weapon fragments. The Tao of the ancient Heavenly Court was incomparably profound. If they could comprehend even a little bit, it would be a great improvement. Moreover, there were 6 of them here. If they split it between 2 people, each person could get 3. That's pretty good. Therefore, they put it away and said with a smile, "Then we won't stand on ceremony." Lin Xian only gave them to Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Yin. As for the other 2, he didn't give them to them. He was not brought in by the 2 immortal generals. The Divine General Wind, Snow, gritted his teeth in anger, but he didn't say anything. Indeed, everyone belonged to different factions. If he wanted something, he would have to get it from Xiao Zhuang and the others. Little Zhuang and the others also took out a piece each, making the Divine General of Wind Snow smile. Divine General Chen also received one, but he received the least. Only the Flying Corpse King gave it to him. Torch Dragon had long followed the Dragon Prince. This made him extremely depressed, but he didn't dare to say anything. With the Dragon Prince here, let's see if Mad God dares to be arrogant. He snorted coldly and also flew toward the Dragon Prince. He didn't know that Lin Xian had already blocked the Dragon Cloud hand. If he knew, what kind of expression would he have? In front, the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals didn't attack again. The armored giant also stood there like a mountain. They watched covetously. On the other side, Kunpingzi and the Dragon Prince were also in a confrontation. The auras of the 2 sides kept clashing. Another battle could break out at any time. Lin Xian was also in the crowd, his eyes flashing. He naturally knew that Black Mountain's plan should have begun. As expected, the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals had begun to retreat under Black Mountain's control. Chase! The Dragon Prince snorted coldly and led a group of people to attack. On the other side, Kunpingzi also rose into the air. The 2 of them chased after the enemy. They must search the heavenly court and find the supreme treasure. Both of them were imperial princes, so they had much more information than the others. They naturally knew that the ancient heavenly court was an extremely powerful existence. There had been more than one great emperor here. There must be a great emperor's ancient scripture left behind. If they could obtain it, then they would definitely become a true great emperor and break through the limits and restrictions of their bloodlines. This was also one of the reasons why they came this time. Why didn't they send their true bodies? They naturally had their own considerations. Since there might be a great emperor's ancient scripture here, then there might be a great emperor's killing formation. No matter how strong they were still too young. If they encountered a complete great emperor's killing formation, it would be very dangerous. Even if they carried extreme weapons, it was very likely that they would be injured and escape. Therefore, in order to maintain their peak condition, they sent out their clones. Their clones were here to scout. As long as they found news about the great emperor's ancient scripture, they would use the power of the emperor clans. They would attack the heavenly court at all costs. The 10,000 dragons' court and the heavenly sect's morale were soaring. With the 2 imperial princes leading the way, they chased after the enemy. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals didn't dare to resist at all. One after another, congratulatory voices sounded, as expected of the dragon prince. Just show your divine might, and those heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were defeated. If you make a move, nothing can stop you. The dragon prince laughed and sped up. The group charged into the depths of the heavenly court. However, they discovered that other than the southern heavenly gate and the first Tao palace, the 33rd heaven in the distance was indeed an illusion. No matter how they set off, the illusion would always appear in front of them. Another Tao palace appeared in front of them. It was golden and dazzling. The heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals, and the armored giants all entered. Seeing this scene, the dragon prince and the others roared angrily and rushed in. It was another Tao palace. Perhaps there was also a golden coffin inside. Even Lin Xian and the others were surprised. This time, the heavenly generals, peerless masters, and super mighty figures were all very careful. However, they discovered that there was an extremely strong seal on it this time. They couldn't open it at all. It seemed that they had to work together to break it. However, some people were puzzled. Why did this Tao palace feel different from the first one? At this moment, Lin Xian received a voice transmission from Black Mountain. While everyone was discussing, Lin Xian walked out. There were 12 Tao palaces, and each one was different. Was there a need to explain? If they were all the same, why were there 12? This one's aura was obviously more terrifying. If you're afraid of death, get lost. I want to go in. If I can learn another peerless theurgy, so what if you're an imperial prince? I still dare to fight. Now, everyone knew that Mad God had obtained the fearless lion seal. That was a peerless technique comparable to a theurgy. In addition, the other party's arrogant words made everyone's eyes turn red. Yes, there was no doubt. Obviously, the peerless technique inside was even more terrifying than the first one. We must get it. This time, even the experts of the older generation went crazy. Chapter 49:26. Lin Xian sneered. This was the effect he wanted. If these people were suspicious, they would investigate more strictly. This would be dangerous because there was a huge illusion array in front of them. There were no treasures inside. Inside was a place where a portion of the heavenly court's foundation was sleeping. Black Mountain needed these people to open the seal to let those people in. These people had been awake and investigating, so they should be able to find a flaw. At that time, they should not make a move. Therefore, they needed Lin Xian to stand out and be arrogant. The surrounding people were already about to make a move, but the 2 princes frowned. They had many trump cards. The 2 of them felt a trace of doubt and felt that something was wrong, so they suppressed the crowd. They did not let the crowd make a move immediately. Lin Xian cursed, as expected of the imperial prince. He had grasped the imperial sutra. It was really easy to fool him. It seemed that he could only continue to be arrogant. He stood out and shouted coldly, "Why, don't you dare to make a move? A bunch of trash. Scram! I can already block the imperial prince's attack after obtaining the fearless lion seal. If I obtain another peerless technique, I can suppress the imperial prince. If you don't dare, I'll do it." As soon as these words were said, the surrounding people went crazy. Not everyone knew about this. After all, it was embarrassing that the dragon prince couldn't kill the other party in one move. The 1,000 Dragon dynasty naturally wouldn't say it. The others didn't dare to say it even if they wanted to. If they said such a thing in front of Long Huang, Zi, and offended the dragon prince, they would be slapped to death. It might even implicate their entire family and sect. Therefore, those people kept their mouths shut. Now that the peerless powerhouses outside heard this, their eyes almost popped out. Was that really the case? They asked one after another. The surrounding young disciples' expressions became incomparably strange. No one dared to say anything. However, no one explained. Those super mighty figures were smart and instantly understood. It seemed that it was true. Inside, the Dragon Prince and Mad God had already fought. In fact, they couldn't even kill Mad God. And all of this was not because Mad God was strong, but because the fearless lion seal was strong. These people's eyes turned red. Let's do it. Even the Dragon Reflection Master's eyes were burning. Although he was an expert of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty, he didn't have the right to cultivate an imperial scripture. If he could obtain an exceptional divine ability that was comparable to an imperial scripture, his strength and status would improve even further. Not only him, but the eyes of the master of the Great Desolation, the 9 underworld's demon emperor, and the other super mighty figures were also red. This time the 2 princes also frowned. It seemed that they could not suppress these older generation experts, especially when the Dragon Prince turned his head, his eyes bursting with terrifying, murderous intent. He turned into 2 bolts of lightning and attacked Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian once again unleashed the seal of the fearless lion. The power of the great dragon sword spirit gushed out, as if it had transformed into a real, fearless lion. He blocked the Dragon Prince's sight. This time, everyone saw it with their own eyes. They were all crazy. Attack! The Lord of the Great Desolation roared. Everyone attacked ferociously because the Mad God could really block the attacks of the Crown Prince. They had to break the seal. The Dragon Prince frowned, his killing intent biting cold. He wanted to kill Lin Xian, but he found that the other party had escaped. Ants will always be ants. The Dragon Prince turned around and continued to attack the Dao Palace in front of him. Lin Xian was not escaping because he felt that it was about time. He would not attack the Dao Palace in front of him. He had to be vigilant at all times and contact Black Mountain. Kid, you're doing well. At this moment, Black Mountain walked over and smiled. Lin Xian was shocked. You dare to come out? Black Mountain said, so what? There are so many people here. They won't be able to tell if I pretend to be one. The 2 of them communicated telepathically. Black Mountain was very satisfied with Lin Xian's performance. The people in front of him were attacking with all their might, but their powers were all absorbed by the formation. Black Mountain smiled. He said, I have to move forward. When the formation is opened, I have to wake up those who are in a deep sleep. Lin Xian said, what else do you need me to do? Black Mountain said, it's fine. This is enough. Lin Xian said telepathically, why do I feel that the 2 princes are searching for something? Also, how many mystic arts do the Heavenly Court have? Is there a great emperor's ancient scripture? If you have an ancient scripture, give me a copy. To be honest, it was impossible not to envy the great emperor's ancient scripture. After all, it was a mystic art created by the great emperor. It was the most powerful mystic art in the world. Lin Xian did not have one. Whether it was the Human King seal, the Mountain Embracing seal, the 9-yang divine body, or the Fearless Lion seal, they were all top-notch mystic arts. However, compared to the emperor's ancient scripture, they were still a little inferior. Therefore, Lin Xian also hoped to obtain a copy of the great emperor's ancient scripture. However, these ancient scriptures were usually in the hands of the emperor clan. Even in the emperor clan, only a few people could cultivate it. It was even possible that only one person could cultivate it. Others wanted to obtain it. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, not to mention the people from other clans. Other than the Emperor clan, Lin Xian had only seen one person who knew the great emperor's ancient scripture. That was Yan Nantian. Back then, Yan Nantian and he were locked in a fierce battle. He had used all his trump cards and spent a lot of effort to kill him. One had to know that back then, he had used the 9-yang divine body, the great dragon sword spirit, and many other mystic arts to kill a great emperor's successor. That was because the other party had not grown up and many of the great emperor's mystic arts could not be used. If the other party had grown up to this point, it would have been 100 times more difficult for Lin Xian to kill a great emperor's successor. Black Mountain said, "The heavenly court does have an emperor's scripture. However, that kind of thing is too rare. It requires a great opportunity. I don't even have it. Don't worry, if I really find it, I will consider giving it to you." After saying that, Black Mountain turned into green smoke and floated forward. Lin Xian sighed. However, he quickly adjusted his mentality. So what if he didn't have an emperor's scripture? He had the great dragon sword spirit. He was also incomparably powerful. The people in front attacked crazily. 3 months later, cracks began to appear on the formation. Great, these people had swallowed countless pills and absorbed a lot of energy in the past 3 months to be able to fight so desperately. At this moment, seeing cracks appear on the seal, they were so excited that they were about to cry. This time, even the Dragon Prince and the King of Kunping made a move. They attacked with their extreme strength. Another 3 days of attack. 3 days later, the seal was finally covered with cracks. Then, with a crack, it shattered. Great, the seal has been broken. Charge! These people rushed in. Lin Xian also walked in from afar. He had been standing at the edge, ready to respond at any time. After entering, the people inside were stunned. Even Lin Xian was stunned. He saw hundreds of figures in front of him. Those people were frozen in the divine crystal and had fallen into a deep sleep. Their auras were very weak. If Lin Xian did not use the heavenly secret divine eyes, he would not be able to sense that these people were still alive. Chapter 49:27. What was that? The people around were stunned. The Zifu's pupils constricted. The Dragon Prince and Kunpeng Zi's expressions changed. Don't act rashly and don't touch the god crystals. The Dragon Prince snorted coldly. Kunpeng Zi also said that they were still alive and sleeping. This was the foundation of the heavenly court. Hearing the two princes' words, the people around were in an uproar. The foundation of the heavenly court was actually here. These people must have grasped countless absolute skills. If he could collect their souls, he would be able to do it. If they could collect the souls, those techniques and secrets would be theirs. Everyone's eyes were red as they looked at the sleeping people in the god crystals. However, no one dared to act rashly. The Grand Prince had already spoken. Moreover, they knew that if they were careless, they might wake up these people. At that time, they would be in trouble. The elder from the Zifu walked out and said, "Two princes, we can't let these people from the heavenly court live. We have to kill them quickly. Even if you two princes have any thoughts, please hand them over to the Zifu after you act." Hearing this, many people gasped. It seemed like the Zifu wanted to completely destroy the foundation of the heavenly court. As soon as he said that, the eyelids of the people from the Zifu twitched. Even the two princes' expressions changed. They saw a figure in the crowd walking forward and stopping in front of the sealing divine crystal. He reached out with a palm. "Stop!" The elder from the Zifu shouted angrily. "What are you doing? Don't you know that once the god crystals are broken, they will wake up?" The person in front didn't reply at all. Instead, he slapped the god crystals. Countless cracks spread out in all directions. Not good. He wants to wake them up. He is from the heavenly court. The Zifu roared. The Dragon Prince's eyes shone with a terrifying light that swept forward. Those eyes turned into millions of dragon shadows that roared in the sky. This is great. The Dragon Prince attacked. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty heaved a sigh of relief. One look was enough to kill him. The person in front turned around, and a lamp appeared in his hand. Flames swept across the sky. It blocked all the dragon's shadows. How was that possible? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were shocked. The others were also in an uproar. The people from the Zifu exclaimed, "Heaven Lamp, damn it, you are from the heavenly court." Was this a sky lantern? Kuin Pengzi's eyes shone brightly as he stared at the other party. The dragon prince's face darkened. "You dare to scheme against us?" He was furious. He felt that this was a trap. Up ahead, Heishan smiled, thanking everyone for providing him with strength to break the seal. "The heavenly court is extremely grateful. Damn it, it really was a trap," the dragon prince roared. The people from the Purple Mansion were also filled with killing intent. "Attack!" They shouted angrily and rushed over. However, Heishan's movements were even faster. Wherever the lamp passed, it brought with it a monstrous power that melted the surrounding divine crystals like snow. Over 100 figures appeared. All of them opened their eyes and roared at the sky. Some of them even punched out to fight against the Lord of the Great Wilderness. The figure was sent flying backwards. However, the face of the master of the Great Desolation was extremely ugly. Although he had forcefully suppressed the other party had just awakened. Once the other party's strength recovered, the other party would not be any weaker than him. Sure enough, that person was a middle-aged man. He raised his head and roared, and the energy from all directions swept towards him like a tornado. His aura quickly recovered. He was not the only one. Over 100 other figures had recovered as well. Not good. The faces of the people from the Purple Mansion changed drastically. They looked at the Dragon Prince and Kuin Pengzi. "The two Imperial Princes, please use your extreme Dao power to suppress them." Kuin Pengzi said lightly, "I will not participate in the grudge between the Purple Mansion and the Heavenly Court." He walked to the side. Those who followed him, such as Tianzong and Divine General Wind Snow, also retreated to the side. The faces of the people from the Purple Mansion were cold as they looked at the Dragon Prince. "Dragon Prince, please help us. The Purple Mansion will reward you handsomely." "All right." The Dragon Prince nodded. "They dared to scheme against me. I will not let them go." The Dragon Prince walked out, and the extreme Dao aura on his body kept erupting. Although he did not bring an extreme Dao weapon, he brought an extreme Dao power with him. As soon as the aura was released, it suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Everyone felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Even the divine generals and super almighties turned pale. The power of an extreme Dao weapon was too terrifying. "Retreat quickly." The surrounding people retreated. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered as they retreated. The experts from the Heavenly Court had just awakened. They would not be able to withstand the extreme Dao power. The Lord of the Great Desolation took out a legendary saint weapon. Its terrifying aura was also vast as it stared at Black Mountain. He said coldly, "Although you have a sky lantern, it can only block one weapon. Are you trying to block the power of extreme Dao, or are you trying to block my full power attack? I'll leave it to you." Everyone's scalp went numb. The Lord of the Great Desolation was at the peak of the Supreme Saint Realm. With a legendary saint weapon in his hand, his attack was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. The Dragon Prince's extreme Dao power was also terrifying. The Sky Lantern could not withstand the joint attack of the two. "Despicable! How dare you be the enemy of the Heavenly Court?" Hundreds of figures opened their eyes and shouted coldly. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered. "You destroyed the Heavenly Court back then. There is no need for you to live anymore." "Despicable!" The people from the Heavenly Court looked pale as they looked forward. "You are the one with the Sky Lantern. Summon the Peerless Killing Array." Hundreds of people said coldly. Black Mountain said, "The movement was too big. Some things protected by the peerless killing array could not be revealed yet. However, the hundreds of people who had awakened frowned. The middle-aged man from before also said, although that was the case, the extreme Tao power was a legendary saint weapon. We have just awakened and can't fight against them. Black Mountain said, don't worry, who said that we only have one sky lantern. The heavenly court experts who had just awakened were stunned. The others were also puzzled. Were there still heavenly court experts here? They were facing a great enemy. In an instant, many people held their saint weapons and looked around. Black Mountain said, Kid, it's up to you. Lin Xian sighed, but he still walked out. When they saw Mad God, everyone was stunned. Could this guy be from the heavenly court? The Purple Mansion side was filled with killing intent. The Dragon Prince frowned. Kid, are you here to die? Although I promised you that I would not kill you if you dodged my attack. That was the last time. But that was just now. If you want to attack again, I don't have any restrictions. I will let you go to hell. Lin Xian laughed. Do you really think you are an emperor? You are just an emperor. Moreover, you are just an incarnation now. What right do you have to say such words? I advise you to get lost now. Otherwise, I will let your incarnation die later. I will let you become the laughing stock of the world. The surrounding people were stunned. Even Kuan Peng Zi frowned. Where did he get the courage to say such words? Although they were just incarnations, they had extreme Tao power. The surrounding great sages were no match for them at all, not to mention killing them. Chapter 49:28. The Dragon Prince was thoroughly enraged. Ignorant fool, I will send you to hell and make you feel despair. He walked out, releasing his extreme Tao aura. Thousands of dragons circled around him and pressed forward. In an instant, the surrounding area collapsed. This kid is really an idiot. Does he think that this attack is the same as the Dragon Cloud Hand? What a joke! This attack was 10 times, no, 100 times stronger than the Dragon Cloud Hand. Zilong and the others snorted. Those from the heavenly court who had just woken up frowned. Does this person have the strength to fight against the Emperor's extreme Tao? Under everyone's questioning gaze, Lin Xian walked out. A black jar floated out of his body and floated between heaven and earth. A terrifying aura filled the air. In the surroundings, countless black holes blocked the aura of the 10,000 dragons. What is this? Everyone was shocked. Those from the heavenly court who had just woken up exclaimed, The heaven-devouring jar! Did he get the recognition of the heaven-devouring jar? This guy actually has the heaven-devouring jar. When the others heard this, they were stunned and their eyes widened. Those from the remote antiquity families were instantly enraged. The heaven-devouring jar was the legendary weapon of the heaven-devouring emperor. It was an extreme Tao weapon. This guy actually had an extreme Tao weapon. Kuan Ping Zi narrowed his eyes. No wonder he dared to challenge the Dragon Prince. This was his trump card. The Dragon Prince's face turned cold. Soon he snorted. It's just half a heaven-devouring jar, half an extreme Tao weapon. Is this what you're relying on the most? Kid, who exactly are you? Initially, the Dragon Prince was disdained by Lin Xian, but now that didn't seem to be the case. With half an extreme Tao weapon, it would be troublesome for him to kill Lin Xian. Those from the Purple Mansion sect exclaimed, How did you get it? What is your relationship with Lin Xian? They were too shocked. Wasn't the heaven-devouring jar obtained by Lin Xian? Now it was in the hands of the Mad God. Is this guy Lin Xian? Impossible. That kid can't be so heaven-defying. How long has it been? Lin Xian's strength is 10 times stronger than before. They didn't believe that anyone could improve their strength so quickly. Lin Xian looked at them and snorted coldly. You guys talk too much. Who wants to fight me today? He came to Black Mountain, and the two of them stood side by side. A heaven-swallowing jar and a sky lantern were enough to stop everything. Damn it! The people of the Z government were gnashing their teeth. They had lost their advantage, but they still had a chance. They still had one hope, and that was Kuan Pengzi. If Kuan Pengzi was willing to join them, then they would have one more extreme Tao power. At that time, they would be able to suppress the other party. The people from the Purple Mansion invited Kuan Pengzi once again. Black Mountain also said, Kuan Pengzi, the Heavenly Court has no enmity with the Kuan Peng race. I don't want to have any grudges in the future. I think Kuan Pengzi doesn't want to have another strong enemy in the future. Once the sky lanterns lit up, the Heavenly Court would revive. No one could stop it. The Purple Mansion made a great wish and was even willing to take out the celestial ruins for Kuan Pengzi to see. Kuan Pengzi frowned. To be honest, the conditions given by the Purple government were very good. He was shocked. The inheritance of the Purple Mansion was very mysterious. Although it wasn't from the Purple Mansion, even the monarch race couldn't figure it out. It was said that there was an even more terrifying force behind the Purple Mansion. It was even related to the legendary Celestials. If the Purple Mansion really took out the secret of celestial ascension, he wouldn't be able to resist. However, Black Mountain was right. He wasn't even a great emperor now. If he offended the Heavenly Court, then he would be suppressed by the Heavenly Court in the future. Although the Heavenly Court was broken, they still had a foundation. If they found a critical moment, such as when he was breaking through, they would bring an extreme Tao weapon to attack him. Then it would be really dangerous. After thinking about it, Kuan Pengzi said, I won't participate in your battle. Goodbye. With that, he turned around. He actually left. The people of the Heaven Sect also took a deep breath and followed. In an instant, the forces on Kuan Peng's side left. The people of the Purple Mansion had ugly expressions, but the people of the Heavenly Court laughed. Black Mountain said, Why? Do you still want to fight? Don't be arrogant. We don't know who will win yet. Fight! The elder of the Purple Mansion roared, and the Lord of the Great Desolation attacked. He held a sacred sword in his hand, which was a legendary sacred weapon. It was one of the most powerful sacred weapons. When the sword slashed down, the people around felt that their souls were splitting. Retreat! They all retreated. Black Mountain shouted, Everyone, let's attack together. He held the sky lantern in his hand, and the hundreds of awakened experts behind him also poured their power into the sky lantern. The sky lantern shone in all directions, and the bright light blocked the sacred sword. Damn it, the people of the Purple Mansion had ugly expressions. The Lord of the Great Desolation was at the peak of the Great Saint Realm. He could sweep the world with a legendary sacred weapon. The black-robed man was no match for him. However, there were many experts on the other side, and more importantly, this was the territory of the Heavenly Court. They found that there were countless arrays at the foot of Black Mountain, providing powerful Heavenly Court Tao. They could only look at the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince walked out, and the extreme Tao aura on his body became more and more piercing. It seemed to have turned into a sky map that was about to cover the sky lantern. However, it was blocked halfway by countless black vortexes. Lin Xian held the heaven-swallowing jar in his hand and also stood out. The 10,000 dragons diagram? It's not the first time I've experienced it. I just don't know how powerful it is in your hands. Long, Huangzi frowned. Had the other party experienced the 10,000 dragons diagram before? How could he not know? One had to know that the 10,000 dragons diagram had only been used a few times. After all, it was an extreme Tao weapon. Using it once consumed too much power. Even his current dragon diagram was only at the level of extreme Tao. Furthermore, it was also due to the fact that he had exhausted too much of his energy. Thus, even though he was only using extreme Tao's might, he was not afraid of his opponent. He knew that with the Mad God's cultivation, he could not use the heaven-swallowing jar at full power. The power that the other party used was about the same as his extreme Tao level. However, the other party's words made him frown. Could it be that this guy also came from the true spirit world. He knew that the 10,000 dragons diagram was used the most in the true spirit world. When the 10,000 ancient races revived, after coming to the buried Emperor Star, it had not used the 10,000 dragons diagram. However, now was not the time for him to think too much. He snorted coldly and activated the extreme Tao level in his body. He struck out once. The sky fell and the earth cracked. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. Lin Xian also snorted coldly. He activated the heaven swallowing jar with all his strength. Black Mountain, give me some power. He knew that this was the foundation of the heavenly court, and there was an extremely powerful array formation. Black Mountain formed a seal with his palms, and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals appeared once again. The armored giant also walked over. Their palms faced the sky, and endless heavenly courts, Tao appeared on their bodies and surrounded the heaven-swallowing jar. The heaven-swallowing jar bloomed with light and directly swallowed the extreme Tao level. Then it charged towards the Dragon Prince. Not good. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty also hurriedly attacked. 10,000 dragons roared. The Dragon Prince also received a boost of power. The two sides were in a stalemate again. Chapter 49-29. The two extreme Tao weapons kept colliding, tearing apart the 9 heavens. Fortunately, this was the ruins of the heavenly court. Otherwise, the entire world would have been destroyed. It seemed like they were evenly matched. The people in the surroundings were shocked. They didn't attack rashly. Now, all their hopes were on the people in front of them. As long as the extreme Tao weapons were used, the battle would probably end. Ant, I'm the Imperial Prince. The 10,000 dragons portrait was prepared for me. What do you have to fight me? The Dragon Prince shouted coldly. Your heaven-devouring jar isn't complete, and you can't unleash its full power. Right now, you're just holding on. It won't be long before your body shatters and is swallowed by the heaven-devouring jar. The Dragon Prince's voice was so cold that it caused the blood in everyone's body to boil. The expressions of Xueqi and the others changed. Not good. His voice carried a powerful soul power, and it seemed like it wanted to affect Lin Xian's Tao heart. Could Lin Xian block it? They were nervous. Lin Xian sneered. Don't waste your energy. You keep saying that I'm an ant and that you're looking down on me. In the end, do you have the ability to suppress me? I've withstood your previous palm strike, and now I've withstood your extreme Tao attack. I can't suppress you, but at least we're evenly matched. If I'm an ant, what are you? Aren't you just another ant? The Dragon Prince's expression was cold, and his incarnation released a terrifying aura. It seems like you still don't understand my strength. Let me show you what it means to be invincible. His incarnation suddenly burst into flames. It was incomparably terrifying, and the might of the extreme Tao instantly became terrifying. Its power increased by several times. It's too powerful. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty exclaimed. Is the Dragon Prince going to burn his incarnation? Is he going to use his strongest attack? When the others heard this, their scalps went numb. An incarnation wasn't as simple as a clone. It needed to be nurtured for countless years to form. Moreover, the incarnation and the main body were inextricably linked. If the incarnation died, the main body would also be injured, and even the soul would be injured. Now that the Dragon Prince was burning his incarnation, it seemed like he was really angry. Not good. The people of the heavenly court had unsightly expressions. This power was too strong, and the other party was obviously going to go all out. Would mad God risk his life? The Dragon Prince stood in the midst of the dragon fire, which shone in all directions. He sneered, I've only lost a clone. It doesn't affect my main body much. With the resources I have, I can quickly recover. What about you? Are you going to fight me with your life? Either you burn your life force like me, or you get killed." The dragon prince roared and turned into a divine dragon, dancing between heaven and earth. The might of the extreme path merged with his incarnation, turning into a beam of extreme path light that carried the strongest killing intent. Everyone was sent flying, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. Mad God was dead for sure. Humph! Unless he burned his life force, he would definitely die, even if he managed to block the attack. He was too weak compared to the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian's expression was incomparably solemn. The other party wanted to go all out? What a joke! Lin Xian's eyes flickered with an extremely cold light. He knew a little about incarnations. The Dragon Prince had cultivated incarnations, and he had killed one of them. In the end, he had still been injured. Furthermore, it was not an ordinary injury. Obviously, the other party was trying to scare him. Through the heavenly secret divine eyes, he could see through the other party. Although he had burned his incarnation, his foundation was not shaken. It was just a bluff. If the other party really destroyed his incarnation, his main body would probably be injured as well, and he would not be able to be crowned king in a short period of time. Lin Xian felt that the other party did not dare to take the risk. He sneered, "Who are you trying to scare? You're trying to reach the peak of the sacred origin tower and didn't even participate in the Taoist sect's gathering. Will you hurt your own strength for the current situation? If that's the case, the gap between you and the Kuin Prungfinger will only increase. You might not even be able to catch up in your lifetime." As Lin Xian spoke, a terrifying light flickered in his eyes. There was even a pair of demon god eyes that looked down on the world. Everyone felt that their souls were about to shatter. Not good. The faces of the people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty changed drastically. This mad god wanted to affect the Dragon Prince's Dao heart too? The others felt their hair stand on end. Crazy God was actually on par with the Dragon Prince. This was unbelievable. Impossible. The purple dragon roared crazily. This was just the incarnation of the Dragon Prince, and its strength was not even 1/10,000th of the Dragon Prince's main body. The surrounding people were silent, but they were rolling their eyes in their hearts. Not even 1/10,000th? That was too exaggerated. Everyone admitted that the incarnation was inferior to the main body. However, how much power the incarnation could unleash depended on how long it had been formed. Hence, no one knew how much power the incarnation had of the main body except for the Dragon Prince. In the Dragon Prince's body, dragon blood rumbled and 10,000 dragons roared. "You think you can affect my Tao heart? It's useless. I have invincible faith." His will turned into an extremely terrifying divine spear that slashed out. Lin Xian also roared. "You have invincible will, but I also have invincible faith." He had fought all the way and had never been defeated. An invincible aura also surged from his body and turned into a divine sword. The faith and will between the two of them actually started to clash. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty went crazy. Kill Mad God. They had to kill him. This person did not have the imperial bloodline, but his Tao heart and faith were not weaker than the imperial bloodline. When he grew up in the future, he would be a peerless enemy. More importantly, he had an extreme weapon in his hand. Although it was only half a weapon, it was enough to turn the world upside down. However, they were just talking about it. Now, even the Dragon Reflection Master did not dare to rush forward rashly. If his sneak attack failed, the other party would go crazy and attack with extreme power. He would not have a good time either. Moreover, the other party had the armored giant and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals behind him. Could his sneak attack succeed? He could only rely on the Dragon Prince. The power on the Dragon Prince's body burned and directly tore apart countless black vortexes. The dragon diagram had already arrived above Lin Xian. "Kid, it's useless to say anything." Lin Xian sneered. Who didn't know how to burn their power? The power on his body also burned quickly, turning into a huge aura that surged into the sky-devouring jar. Is this guy crazy? The surrounding people were stunned. The Dragon Prince was an incarnation. Even if his incarnation was destroyed, he would only be injured. But Mad God was the main body. If his main body was destroyed, it was impossible for him to survive. Everyone thought that Lin Xian had gone crazy. The people of the heavenly court were even more shocked. Even the Black Mountain frowned. This kid was too crazy. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Firstly, he had only burned his power, and the consequences would not be life-threatening. At most, his power would dry up and he would not have the strength to fight. This was what he was least afraid of because he had the sword world supporting him. Chapter 49:30. Although most of this world was desolate, the Four Spirit Valley was developing very well and had gathered a lot of power. Lin Xian could instantly mobilize the power of the Four Spirit Valley to recover his strength. Therefore, his life was not in danger by burning his power. Unless he burned his life force, that would be the real danger. Under Lin Xian's burning power, he blocked the dragon diagram again. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Do you still have any trump cards? If not, then scram. Damn it, the Dragon Prince has gone crazy. I don't believe that he can persist with me. He planned to keep burning. The power of his incarnation continued to weaken, and so did the power of Lin Xian. This time, even Xueqi was nervous. If he continued burning like this and ran out of power, although he wouldn't die, he would be ambushed. Everyone here was an expert. If they were hit, their souls might be destroyed. Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince's auras continued to weaken. Now, only 1/10 of their auras were left. It was very dangerous. At this moment, the voice of the Golden Lion Array spirit came from the Dao Palace. I'll help you. A golden light shone from the Dao Palace and turned into a fearless lion that soared into the sky. The lion seemed to be a real primordial beast that had been revived. The power it carried was simply too terrifying. Not good. The expressions of the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty changed drastically. The Dragon Prince roared. Damn it, how dare you? Do you believe that I won't destroy your soul? The Array Spirit snorted coldly. He was from the Heavenly Court. What was wrong with helping the Heavenly Court? Therefore, he didn't care about the threat of the Arch at all. The Golden Lion's power charged over. It didn't attack the Dragon Prince at all. Instead, it surged into the heaven-devouring jar. It carried a large amount of power, causing the heaven-devouring jar's power to increase by at least 5 times. At this moment, an even more terrifying extreme Tao power appeared. Even the supreme sages and divine generals felt their hair stand on end. Not good, it's too dangerous. It's enough to threaten our lives. Retreat. Black Mountain controlled the sky lantern and retreated with his people. The master of the Grand Desolation had no choice but to retreat. Not good, the prince is in danger. Everyone looked at the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince was really in danger this time. The Dragon Prince's face turned cold. Fine, I don't want this clone today. I'm going to kill you. A sharp, killing intent surfaced in his eyes. Soon after, the core of his avatar began to burn. The 10,000 dragons portrait, which had reached the pinnacle of power, became extremely terrifying once again. He won. Draconic Sovereign sighed, but there was no joy on his face. A dignified prince had to destroy an incarnation to kill a sage king. It was indeed not something to be proud of. It could even be said that it was somewhat embarrassing. However, everyone knew that this Saint King was not ordinary. He had half an extreme weapon, and he also had heaven-defying strength and talent. He was one of the top geniuses below the Crown Prince. Using an incarnation as the price to eliminate a potential future enemy was worth it. That brat was in danger. The people of the Heavenly Court were also very nervous. The Dragon Prince sneered. He merged with the might of the extreme Tao and charged over. The heaven-devouring jar was once again suppressed, and Lin Xian's strength was rapidly being depleted. Less than 1%. The Dragon Prince smiled. Die with my incarnation. Boom! Ignoring the consequences, he blocked the power of the Golden Lion. Lin Xian's aura continued to decline. When the other party ran out of strength, it would be time for him to die. Lin Xian smiled. You're wrong. I won't die with you. I'll kill this incarnation of yours. With just you? The Dragon Prince's voice came from the flames. I've run out of patience. Let's end this. He would not waste any more words with the other party. The dragon portrait that filled the sky enveloped Lin Xian. The power on Lin Xian's body disappeared, but in the next moment it surged out crazily. His aura rose again, as if it was about to reach the peak. How was this possible? The Dragon Prince's pupils shrank. Where did you get the power from? One had to know that with the other party's consumption, it was definitely not something that could be recovered by heaven and earth treasures. Even an Herb King could not. Unless the other party had an Herb King that was more than 50,000 years old. But even he did not have that, so how could the other party have it? The faces of Dragon Reflection Master and the others changed drastically, but Black Mountain sighed, heaved a sigh of relief. This kid really did have a trump card. Lin Xian was currently using the Sword World, the power of the Four Spirit Valley. He did not have a 50,000-year-old Herb King either. However, the power of the Sword World was not something that the Dragon Prince could expect. The Four Spirit Valley had fused with several worlds. In addition to the 4 top-grade spirit veins, this power was enough to allow Lin Xian to recover in an instant. After recovering to his peak, Lin Xian continued to burn his power. He even continued to use the power of the Sword World. Even if he burned, his power would always be maintained at half of his peak. This made the Dragon Prince go crazy. Naturally, he would not have thought that there was a mysterious world in the other party's body. In his opinion, the other party's luck was heaven-defying, and he had obtained a precious spirit herb that was more than 10,000 years old. Damn it. In the end, he still could not compete with Lin Xian's power, and his incarnation gradually disappeared. In the void, a resentful voice came. Kid, you destroyed my incarnation. When my main body sees you, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. I will make you fall into hell forever. The voice made one's scalp tingle. Everyone knew that the Dragon Prince was really angry. This time it was only his incarnation that had died. The other party's true body was much stronger than his incarnation. The mad god would be in danger in the future. When the other party returned to the ancient city, he would probably be destroyed by the Dragon Prince. Humph! Lin Xian sneered. You should recover from your injuries first. Since your incarnation was destroyed, I think it will take you a few years to recover. Facing the other party's threat, he did not care. The mad god was just one of his identities. At most, he would use the identity of Lin Xian. It would not be easy for the other party to find him. I am the mad god of the heavenly court. Who dares to fight with me? Lin Xian held the heaven-swallowing jar in his hand and looked down at the surroundings. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Even the Lord of the Great Desolation and the Lord of Dragon Reflection had cold expressions and did not attack. If you don't dare to fight, then scram. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He burned his power, and the heaven-swallowing jar's aura swept over. Retreat. The people of the Purple Mansion sect quickly retreated. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court also retreated under the lead of the Lord of Dragon Reflection. The power in the other party's body was too strange. They had not figured it out yet, so they could not attack rashly. Otherwise, they would probably be completely annihilated. In an instant, everyone retreated and retreated out of the southern heavenly gate. Lin Xian, Black Mountain, and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals chased them all out of the southern heavenly gate. The heavenly court was once again shrouded in clouds and completely sealed. Chapter 49:31. Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. His face was a little pale, and he immediately stopped burning his power. He felt like his body was about to split apart. Damn it, it seems like my physique is damaged as well. I won't do this again unless it's absolutely necessary. Lin Xian had to go into seclusion for a while. Heishan said, "Well done, kid. Don't worry. The Heavenly Court has secret pills that can help you recover." I won't hold back then. Continuously using an extreme weapon like this is very taxing on one's physique. Lin Xian could only withstand it because he had a divine physique. Even so, his divine physique was damaged, and he would need to go into seclusion for a month or two. Roar! Holy Abyss Ancient City gradually calmed down after the Taoist sect's grand ceremony. Everyone followed their previous paths and began to cultivate. However, on this day, an extremely terrifying roar was heard. The ancient city shook, and the sky above collapsed, forming an endless black hole. The kings, venerables, and young warriors below the saint level all fainted. Even the sages vomited blood, and some of the more powerful sages narrowed their eyes. What a terrifying bloodline pressure! Who's angry? Why does it feel like a god has been resurrected? The clan of the ancients, the great sects, and the three great orthodoxies all went to investigate. The top seniors looked through the sky and into the distance. There was a pagoda that stood between heaven and earth, emitting a desolate aura. Holy Abyss Tower. The voice came from there. The people in the Holy Abyss Tower were terrified, and some of the divine generals narrowed their eyes. This aura of the Way of the Dragon belongs to the Dragon Prince. Why is he angry? Everyone guessed, but no one dared to go forward to investigate. Some of the divine generals reported the news to the 1,000 Dragon Court. It's better to let the Dragon Clan deal with it themselves. The voice just now carried an extremely strong murderous intent. Whoever appeared in front of him at this time would probably be torn to pieces. On the top 90 floors of the Holy Abyss Tower, a figure opened his eyes. The aura of the Way of the Dragon on his body was even more terrifying. It was as if he was the real dragon god. He was the Dragon Prince's true body. Damn it! How dare you destroy my incarnation? His face was pale, and dragon blood danced around him. He was mad. His true body knew everything that his incarnation had experienced. In the end, he didn't expect that the other party didn't die. Instead, he killed his clone. This was something that had never happened to him before. If he were to suffer such a great loss in the hands of Kun Pengzi, then he would accept it. The other party was an imperial prince and had awakened earlier than him. But now an ant had injured him. This was something he could not accept. He had always been high and mighty. Other than a few people, he had never cared about anyone else. That was probably why he was so angry right now. Mad God, I will never let you go. I will make you wish you were dead. When the people from the 1,000 Dragon Dynasty received the message from the God General, they immediately rushed over. The voices of 2 old men rang out from outside the secret chamber. "Prince, how are you?" Could it be that his cultivation speed was so fast that his Tao heart was unstable? The 2 of them were extremely anxious. "It's nothing. I was bitten by an ant. I'm injured. Hurry back to the clan and bring me the Dragon Race's sacred medicine. I can't spend too much time on healing. I have to rush to the peak of the Saint Origin Tower." Therefore, he had to recover immediately. The elders outside heaved a sigh of relief when they heard that. It seemed that there were no major problems. They said, "Yes, we'll go back and report to the family." The 2 of them left. They went to prepare to get the Dragon Race's sacred medicine. However, they still did not know what caused the Dragon Prince to be injured. Was it because Kun Pengzi gave him too much pressure? Now that the prince had ascended the Saint Origin Tower, He was only 2 levels away from the peak. It was only a matter of time before he became the crown king. The people outside did not understand the situation at the St. Origin Tower. They were all guessing. Some of the top experts already knew that the angry roar was from the Dragon Prince. However, they did not know why the Dragon Prince was angry. The heavenly sect was the most nervous. Could it be related to Kunpingzi? They were about to ask. Kunpingzi was not around. Not long after, a piece of shocking news came from St. Origin Ancient City. The previous exploration of the Heavenly Court's ruins had a result. This surprised countless people. Naturally, they knew that the Heavenly Court's ruins had appeared. Every clan and sect had sent a group of experts. The 3 great orthodoxies were no exception. How were they now? They did not know what was inside the Heavenly Court, but there was a piece of news that stunned them. In the Heavenly Court's ruins, one of the Dragon Prince's clones was killed. As soon as the news came out, the entire St. Origin Ancient City was stirred up. Everyone went crazy. That was a crown prince. A single clone could sweep through everything and make the geniuses of the same generation bow their heads. Who could kill a clone now? Was it someone from the older generation? They heard that a few powerful peak great saints went there. Could it be them? It was possible. They were probably the only ones who had such strength. Some people also said that other than a few peak great saints, there was another person who could do it. Who? Everyone asked. News spread that Kunpingzi's clone had also arrived at the Heavenly Court's ruins. Everyone was surprised. Did the clones of the 2 crown princes fight? Did the Dragon Prince lose the battle? It was unbelievable. Now, everyone was regretting it. They should have gone to see it with their own eyes. A battle between crown princes would not happen for thousands of years. It might not even happen in 10,000 years. If they could see it with their own eyes, they would be able to brag about it for the rest of their lives. No way. Kunpingzi was the first to be crowned crown king. Now he killed the Dragon Prince's clone. Was he going to suppress the Dragon Prince? One after another, voices sounded. When the heavenly sect heard this news, they were very happy. After all, they were on Kunpingzi's side. On the Taoist sect's side, their brows were tightly furrowed. Not good. The Dragon Prince's clone was killed and injured. Hurry up and send him healing medicine. They had all placed their hopes on the Dragon Prince. How could they not be nervous now? When the 10,000 Dragons court received the news, they were also shocked. They all gritted their teeth. Damn it, was Kunpingzi already so powerful? They said that since he dared to kill the Dragon Prince's clone, they would kill his clone. The 10,000 Dragons court was preparing to send out experts to assassinate Kunpingzi's clone. For a moment, undercurrents surged. The heavenly sect also hurriedly sent people to welcome them. The death of the clone would affect the crown prince's strength. It might delay him for several years. The other ancient families and peerless sects were also waiting for their people to return. He wondered if those people had recorded the scene of the battle with a formation. Finally, those people who went to the heavenly court's ruins returned. The first to return were Kunpingzi, and the others because they were the first to leave. When they returned to the vicinity of Holy Abyss City, Kunpingzi and the others were chased. A powerful aura destroyed everything. Chapter 4932. Not good. The heaven sect people's expressions changed. Was the 10,000 Dragon dynasty going to attack? Kunpeng hollered in rage and shot out an extremely strong attack. The heaven sect people sent out a distress signal. They were not far from the ancient city. Not long later, the heaven sect experts came to save them. Only then did they manage to protect Kunpengzi's incarnation. Kunpengzi's face was dark and cold. He roared at the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty people, but they returned without any success. The Kunpeng race people were furious. Did the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty want to start a war with them? They would fight them to the end. Normally, the battle between the princes was a matter of location. The other experts of the emperor races wouldn't interfere. At least they wouldn't directly assassinate them. Now, the other party had obviously broken the rules. Kun Pengzi's expression was really ugly. He asked if the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty people were crazy. Did they want to start a war between the two emperor races? The people who came to save them explained that they had no choice. Dragon Prince's incarnation was killed by them, so they were probably really crazy. Kun Pengzi was stunned. What did they say? Dragon Prince's incarnation was killed? When did that happen? The experts who came were stunned too. Didn't they know? Kun Pengzi shook his head. Those people were stunned. How was that possible? Didn't they kill him? Wind, Snow God General, and the others said that Kun Pengzi left early. So he didn't kill him. Then who was it? Was it an older supreme saint who killed Dragon Prince's incarnation? But why did the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty want to take revenge on them? Let's go back first. Kun Pengzi's face was dark and cold. Although this matter was shocking to him, he had a rough idea. He waved his hand and brought these people back to Heaven Sect. After returning, everyone gathered in the main hall. Those Heaven Sect elders and Kun Peng race experts were really confused. Kun Pengzi and the others explained what happened. Only then did the others understand that the Heaven Sect actually had some trump cards. Moreover, he was revived. It seemed like the Heaven Sect was the one who killed Dragon Prince's incarnation. That should be the case. Kun Pengzi took in a deep breath and thought about someone. Was it that crazy god? But he left early, so he didn't know. He said that he would go and investigate. He wanted to find out what happened after I left. I'll go. Divine General Wind, Snow left with his men. The Kun Peng elders gritted their teeth. Damn it, the Celestial Court did it, so why did the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty do it to us? Kun Pengzi said that the news hadn't been completely spread out yet. They probably only knew that the Dragon Prince's clone had fallen, but no one knew who killed him. In most people's eyes, I'm the only one who can kill Dragon Prince's clone. That's why they attacked me. This time, everyone completely understood. Indeed, even they thought it was the Kun Pengzi's doing, let alone other people. Then what should we do? Should I go and clarify the matter? Kun Pengzi said that there was no need. The news would spread out quickly. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would change their targets, but since he dared to assassinate me, I would let him know the consequences. The eyes of the Kun Peng race brightened as well. The Dragon Prince should be injured now. Maybe we can take this opportunity to attack him. There was more than one Imperial Prince. There would definitely be a battle in the future, and there would definitely be Imperial Princes who would fall. The Dragon Prince was a very powerful potential enemy. Although they were behind Kun Pengzi now, no one could say for sure in the future. Now that the Dragon Prince was injured, it was an opportunity for them. If they could kill him or make him more injured, then the Dragon Prince would have no hope in the future battle for the Emperor's Road. Kun Pengzi nodded after hearing that. Think of a way not to attack directly. Otherwise, it would cause a war between the Emperor races. The Kun Peng race began to prepare. At the same time, more news was sent back. Everyone went crazy. The Dragon Prince's clone wasn't killed by Kun Pengzi. Heavens, who was it? Was it a peak great sage? The Celestial Court had the ability to revive. What? You said it was Mad God who killed him? News came one after another. The most shocking one was the news about Mad God. Mad God killed the Dragon Prince's clone. Everyone felt like they were dreaming. They were no stranger to the name Mad God. It could even be said that his name was well known. But compared to the Dragon Prince, the difference was like heaven and earth. No matter how strong Mad God was, he was only ranked 1,000 in the Holy Gulf Tower. The Dragon Prince was ranked second. How did this guy do it? Some people said that the Dragon Prince was just a clone. Mad God had half an extreme grade weapon and the help of the Heavenly Court's elites. That was how he succeeded. Even so, it was enough to shock everyone. Everyone knew that a storm was coming. Would the Dragon Prince let it go? Would the 1,000-Dragon Court let it go? They would definitely kill him. The 1,000-Dragon Court was also stunned when they received the news. It wasn't Kunpingzi. It was Mad God. Damn it, they wanted to catch that kid. He had half an extreme-grade weapon on him. The 1,000-Dragon Court changed their target and began to search for Mad God. They even set up various traps on the way back. As long as he appeared, they were guaranteed to kill him in one strike. The people of the 3 major orthodoxies were shocked, especially the Tao sect. The people of the Dragon Palace couldn't believe it. Mad God, it was Mad God again. Mad God had killed many of their geniuses at the Tao sect's sacred assembly. Now he was attacking the Dragon Prince. The people of the Divine Union were also shocked and clenched their fists. No matter how arrogant the people of the Dragon Palace were, the Dragon Prince's clone was still killed by Mad God. The Crimson Dragon and the others were even more shocked. They knew that Mad God was Lin Xian. Had this brat already reached such a terrifying stage? Everyone was discussing. Regardless of whether it was the young disciples or the older generation experts, they were all shocked. Many people began to look for Lin Xian. Lin Xian's friends and allies were worried about him. The people of the Dragon Prince were gnashing their teeth. The people of the 3 major orthodoxies had returned, and so had the people of the sacred Abyss Tower. The people of the 1,000-Dragon Court were the first to keep an eye on the people of the sacred Abyss Tower. However, they couldn't find any trace of Mad God. How was that possible? Could it be that the brat had escaped? They immediately went to find Divine, General Haiyuan, and the others. Divine, General Haiyuan, and the others were also on high alert. The people of the 1,000-Dragon Court wouldn't attack them directly, right? Fortunately, the other party only asked about it. Divine General Haiyuan said that Mad God didn't come out with them. He stayed in the heavenly court. This wasn't a secret, other than Divine General Haiyuan and the others. Everyone knew about it. The people of the 1,000-Dragon Court gritted their teeth. Damn it, they didn't believe that Mad God wouldn't come out for the rest of his life. They sent people to stay here and keep watch. Some of them returned to report to the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince had been waiting for news. When he heard that Mad God hadn't returned, he shouted coldly. He couldn't hide forever. He guarded the way back and the sacred Abyss Tower. He kept a close watch on Divine General Haiyuan and the others. If they had any contact with Mad God, he would attack immediately. Yes, a group of people left. The Dragon Prince asked, "Where's my sacred medicine? Is it not here yet?" "It's on the way and will be here soon," the powerhouse of the dragon race said. However, when the dragon race's sacred medicine was delivered, some changes occurred. Someone intercepted it. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.